Welcome, dirty peasants, to Wartwood Gazette, the Amphibia podcast. This is episode 40, and we are covering Amphibia Season 1, Episode 20, Reunion. I'm your host, Thembaticon, and joining me today we have Nick,
What's up, guys?
Pixels,
What's up, people?
Impact,
Hey, what's good, everybody?
Sunsfury,
Hey,
Lemur,
Hello.
and Pickle.
Hey.
Okay, we've got quite the crowd tonight. Or
Yep.
today.
Pretty
Time zones.
pretty much all of the crew is present for today.
No news this week. Assuming
Mm-hmm.
this is going to go up on around February 1st, so I'm just assuming that. But maybe there's some.
Yes.
Maybe there's a promo or season 3B title reveal at the time, but
yeah.
for now there isn't.
Just have to wait.
Yeah.
So I guess we can start off. We can just go right into Reunion. I'll try and make the recaps from here on out a bit shorter, more brief. But to start off Reunion, we have it was written by Adam Colas, Gloria Shen, Matt Brawley, and Jack Ferrero. Storyboards by Cheyenne Curtis, Nate Maurer, Kyler Spears, Jen Strickland, and Silver Paul. And directed by Derek Kirk Kim, Bert Yoon, and Kyler Spears. So the episode started off with a flashback of the day of Anne's birthday with Sasha and them hanging out, and then it cuts back to Amphibia with right after Anne of the Year, where the Toads invaded, but then we find out that they've been invited to celebrate Anne and Sasha reuniting. They all get to Toad Tower. Sprig kind of comes to the realization that they're just they're prisoners. Sasha explains to Anne that Hop Pop is basically like a fugitive and a revolutionary that Toad Tower needs to eliminate. And then that's when Anne tries to rescue them, but eventually they get caught. They get led up to the top of the tower, and that's when we get the duel between Anne and Sasha. And then Wally's boom shrooms start going off, and Lean on Me starts playing, and at that point, like, we get the scene of Anne holding on to Sasha, and then her letting go, and then the season ends off with them, the Toads and the Frogs, going their separate ways from Toad Tower, which is now in ruins, and the season ends off with Anne and the Plantars figuring out what they need to do next. And that was Reunion. I guess I'm going to give everyone a chance, a couple of minutes to give their thoughts on the episode, but just to start things off, like, this was really, like, there's a reason why everyone thinks like Reunion is like the peak of Amphibia, like of the series, or one of the peaks. It really ties everything together from the past season, and Sasha's inclusion really paints a picture about where Anne came from in terms of her, like, just relationships with friends, and it really puts her at odds. It really challenges Anne in terms of everything she's done in Wartwood specifically, and we see how hard that is for Anne and all the characters involved, especially with Hop Pop's rebellion plot coming back into play, and how that was pretty much the catalyst for all of this. And yeah, I'll pause there for now. I guess starting off with Pixels, what were your thoughts on this episode?
Really great season finale. Well, one of the great season finales of the show. looking back to how of season 1, like the very first episode, how much Anne improved, and especially with her fighting style, it's like really good. Like she knows how to handle a sword, and she knows how to. She knows how to use her environment, which I really like. And seeing Sasha and how she has this controlling popular girl demeanor is really good, and it fits her character very well. Shout out to the voice actor for like really selling it, because she did a great job too. Like the ending was just very it's very deep in a way, using a royalty free Lean on Me, because that's a different artist without a doubt,
No,
especially in
this
the
is
shots.
that is Bill Withers.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I did say,
The shots of this was so good too. Either from the shot of the tower falling, and Sasha letting go of Anne's hand because of what she saw with and Plantars, and how much they have a bond. There's also at the end of the episode we see a glance of the mountains and all that stuff, which is also good. Like it's like showing like there's more stuff to explore, and it's like Reunion is just good. And the peak thing of that Reunion, that was the peak of Amphibia. I believe the first episode was kind of like the peak of Amphibia, because it sets its characters so well, and we get to know them right away, and we enjoy it, and we got a good sense of the environment and what we're gonna be in store for the episodes to come. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Pixels.
Mhm.
Impact, what were your thoughts on this segment?
So for me, Reunion's really interesting. So just a little background, a little bit, because I'm a lot more new to the show than I think the rest of you guys. I only watched the show like back in August, when season 2 was out on Disney Plus and stuff. And for me, I was just binging the whole thing. And for me, I always kind of like, when I'm binge watching a show or just trying to get into it, there's always that like one episode in a show where you can tell, oh, that's what the crew really wanted to write, or that's what they really wanted to focus on. On Avatar, I think it's like the storm. In She-Ra, I think it's like the promise. And I think for Amphibia, it's Reunion. This episode feels very like a lot bigger than it's a lot bigger than the rest of the show, not in terms of even scale, but in terms of like, I guess, emotional weight. So Reunion was definitely the episode to me that told me this show really is something special, and you should keep watching it and really get into it. So yeah, I love Reunion. I rewatch this episode all the time. It's fantastic. I love this episode. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Impact. Lemur, what were your thoughts on this episode?
I honestly think that this is one of the greatest season finales that we've ever seen in like modern animation. Like, I thought that may sound like hyperbole, but like when you think about, season 1 as one giant narrative and stuff, like you really do sense how great and how almost flawlessly they wrapped up pretty much all of the story arcs in season 1, and not only that, they also setting up the future of the show, where now that, because this pretty much is the end of like the starting point of the show. Now we move ahead to the future. And as you know, the initial preparation phase to the big adventure, this is very, very good. The character, all of the character arcs, especially Anne's, were exceptionally well done and wrapped up. I am very surprised that Sasha, despite having one full episode appearance prior to this episode, got so much add so much context and like emotional weight into this episode, and I think it's impressive when it comes to writing, because you rarely see that how one character can change the complexion of the entire series despite only appearing once. And we're probably gonna get to that why, but yeah. And I don't wanna dig into this that much because initial thoughts, but like again, as a whole, as in summarization, this is just like a really, really, really good season finale, and I can't believe this is like compared to everything else that we've seen from the show. This is small potatoes. It's crazy, and I'm gonna discuss that. But yeah, it's Reunion is a very, very good episode, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you, Lemur. Sunsfury, what were your thoughts on Reunion?
So, I've got a few different thoughts about Reunion, but I think one of the things I like about the episode the most is how well it ties a bit of a bow on top of the smaller Amphibia before season 2 expands everything. It just goes, all right, here's this chunk of the story, here's the finale, here's the moment, here's where everybody stands now, and then we get bigger. It serves as a really nice, not gate, but definitive milestone in the journey of Amphibia, and it fits with everything that's come before it. It's down to earth as much as it can be. It's localized in its stakes, but those stakes aren't bad. They aren't lesser for being for being localized. We learn more about everything, which is always wonderful to see in a season finale, and we're left with the right amount of questions. We got answers to all these kinds of things that we were desperately holding on to, desperately hoping we're going to get answered, and we got answers to them. But then they raised more questions and more interesting questions, the biggest one of which everybody was hanging on to was, what now? What happens next? How do we even go from here? And that's why I love Reunion.
Thank you, Sunsfury. Pickle, what were your thoughts on Reunion?
Well, I kind of have a little bit of a similar perspective to Impact. I mean, I joined sooner than Impact, but I did still join after, even after season 2A aired. But my first look into Amphibia was actually a YouTube clip of the scene where the tower falls, and over that I had heard about Amphibia enough, because I'm in the cartoon community. But it wasn't until after I kind of saw that, I thought, well, I gotta see what this shows up with. It's that if that's the quality I'm gonna be seeing, I have to see the rest. But I really think what Reunion does best is being the climax of Anne's arc, and of specifically Anne's arc around relationships, which is what this show is all about. It really just showcases the difference who Anne was at the beginning versus who Anne it was at the end of season 1, and it also really showcases Anne's toxic relationship versus Anne's healthy relationship, Sprig versus Sasha, and just it's the biggest you see what's been going on now. This is what everything's been building to.
Thank you, Pickle. And Nick, what were your thoughts on Reunion?
A really great season finale, and like, yeah, I mean, I agree with everyone here. This was, yeah, back then, yeah, this was like absolutely like the peak of the show, and like, I mean, it was one hell of a peak. I mean, like, yeah, this is definitely in my top 10 of like favorite cartoon season finales I've ever seen. Just like how it brings the whole season together is just really well done, and how it just creates such like a great conflict between Anne and Sasha. That was really fun to see here, and just all around a great episode. Yeah, I'll save like my big thoughts for later.
All right, thank you, Nick. So I guess to start things off, this episode starts off with the flashback of the day of Anne's birthday, her going to school. We kind of, I'm checking the timing on this. It was about 3 to 4 minutes of this flashback, and Sasha, how do I? So we get to see like what Sasha's like position is at the school in terms of like she seems decently popular, and we get she does have a lot of influence over Anne as we see throughout the segment in terms of skipping class and then eventually being late to her own birthday party, which I thought was very the end of discussion thing is very like maybe I'm getting too far into Reunion, but we just see the amount of control she exerts over Anne, how Anne is very uh you can see where the protector role comes from that we see later on in season 2 and how that's how Sasha perceives herself to Anne. And I guess Pickle, what are your thoughts on this flashback scene?
Well, there's one specific nuance detail, but before that, I'd kind of like to mention sort of there's the moment that is less focused on Reunion, but more focused on how Earth is portrayed in Amphibia. You can see it's like very gray and drab compared to what we see in Amphibia. Like it was really supposed to be sort of like a this is how things used to be. This is where things weren't as nice. But also, there's definitely the end of discussion thing with Sasha being controlling, and specifically Anne really shows how she was at the very beginning. Her idea of friendship was all about, you do what friends ask you to do, or else they don't like you anymore. She was very people pleasing to a fault, for sure, and which is so very different from what we see later in the episode. But you really see how, Sasha makes fun of her for her likes, like the party and stuff she wants to do, and just manipulates her into going on. But even though Anne is getting actively put down by this person, she really cares about Sasha and thinks, well, I've got to do what she wants. I don't want to make her feel bad. I don't want to feel bad for letting her down.
Right, yeah. And yeah, especially we see that with like with Maggie, the the MVP of Reunion.
The fan favorite of the show. Like everybody loves Maggie.
Oh yeah.
Not Maggie.
Yeah, we love Maggie in this podcast.
Maggie.
Oh,
Maggie.
I didn't consent to this.
Now you did.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I honestly forgot Maggie was in this episode. I was like, oh shit, this is where Maggie gets introduced. Like, genuinely forgot, but she served a really good. I mean, for a character only got like what I don't know, like a minute in the series. She definitely did serve a really good purpose.
She got
sort of
introduced.
Like,
she got introduced and never brought back again.
yeah, I'm glad.
So
I'm
the
glad.
kid-
I'm glad it looks like they're keeping it that way. I'm glad it looks like that.
Maggie's
forgot
Go ahead,
the
Sunsfury.
only episode she existed in, and still remember that she was a character.
Just a testament to Amphibia's character writing.
Yeah.
Solid character
Matt,
introduction. Never forget.
I'm gonna say a bold prediction right now. Maggie's gonna
Oh
be
yes, the
involved
racist bully.
in the resolution of the series. Like she's gonna
Oh,
she's gonna
God.
be the one who's
I'm gonna
gonna save the day.
Like after Marcy gets freed from the core, like the core is like looking around, just sees Maggie, and is like, she'll do. Possessed.
But Matt did actually bring up Maggie in a pretty recent interview, specifically around it was related to Anne and xenophobia, because I mean the way Matt put it was that she's young and she still doesn't totally realize what it means when someone laughs at her last name or makes fun of her food. But Maggie was supposed to represent that, like, that's still a thing that happens to her and that is a thing that's personal for him.
Yeah, definitely about that. And see, that's what makes that's what makes like Sasha standing up to Maggie for Anne so good though, because I feel like it shows that there's always like a bigger shark around. Like clearly, like Sasha's like one peg above this bullet, but at the same time, it does show like the sort of care she has for Anne.
Yeah, Maggie is going to be more like a stereotype slash care like plot point than an actual character, which what Pickle said what Pickle said, yeah, it makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, I mean, we can say like the crew did too good of a job with Maggie. Like,
Yeah, true.
they outdid themselves a little too hard there.
And then we have the dissection scene where we get that weird, uncanny resemblance to Hop Hop.
Oh yeah, I mean that was really cute, you know, like Anne just calling frogs gross, and I mean, and you know that her opinion's clearly different now, but yeah, that was really sweet.
Oh
But
my god!
also
Really
kind of
thought
like
you died.
terrifying because because I don't know, that was just weird. But
Also,
People really thought he was gonna die. I like, really? He's not gonna die.
like plus I remember seeing people seeing people make it like a dream theory off of that or something, you know, just like it was weird.
I mean, the Hop Death theory is still going on.
Yeah, that's true.
Come
also,
on.
I just want to say, Sasha's expressions and Anna Canna's voice acting in that particular scene made me laugh so hard. Like thinking about it makes me chuckle.
Yeah,
She's
especially
a great voice actor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Anna
like,
is great.
Yeah, like we said
Oh,
this a
yeah.
lot of times. But
Yeah.
Yeah, so then she gets the idea to ditch school and eventually falls on. But actually, right before that, just minor detail. The science teacher, the science teacher's shirt with like the signs written on it is actually like a direct copy paste from that sign Sprig read back in
Family Shrub.
in Family Shrub in the basement. That was just a
Wow.
oh yeah. When Sprig
Attention to detail.
yeah when Sprig reacted to that. Yeah, it's just we get that montage of them just going around, and then I like how every scene in the montage like ends with Sasha doing something a little bit like morally questionable.
Yeah, questionable. Yeah.
She's a
She runs
delinquent.
over children with a shopping cart.
Yeah, people will like that though.
And then like kind of like stealing coins from like the dance machine, and then spray painting her name
Yeah.
on I don't know, some random wall, I guess, graffiti.
Yeah.
That comes back in the season 3 intro, right? It's in like a
Yes.
little cameo.
Yeah.
No, you can even see like the little spot Anne made on Sasha's graffiti.
But this part does a pretty like good job, like because the first time we see Sasha, it kind of sets her up to give us an understanding of like, oh, that's why like they're friends, or like that's kind of their relationship. Sasha being the protector and stuff. because we need to establish like why would Anne be friends with Sasha? We've currently seen Sasha in a more negative light in the other episodes from the way Anne describes her and stuff. We need to kind of understand like, oh, like they are still friends. Sasha still cares about Anne, but it's why she cares about it that's kind of causing the problem, more specifically, or how she's doing it. So by this time in this part of the episode, we're kind of getting like the problems in their relationship a lot more until we get to like the I think the restaurant scene, yeah, where Sasha like tells her to like with the end of the discussion thing. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that because I think it's hard to like it's difficult to remember because like we people usually I guess bash and shot Sasha that much, but we can't like you guys we have to remember that Sasha does want to give Anne a genuinely good birthday. Like she wants Anne to have a good time. It's just that like what Impact said, the way she wants to do it is not the best way or the most morally correct.
She's a bit of a dumb 13-year-old.
She is. She's a delinquent. A little bit.
Right, and I know
Just a little.
Sunsfury brought up that like just like the end of discussion thing is kind of like the most like obvious example of like of Sasha's control over her, and then we see that eventually like come back into play later on.
Yeah, and just like how much emphasis is placed on that moment is really nice to set up. Like, in the moment, it serves as, okay, this is Sasha controlling Anne to the best that she can, and it's short and clear and simple and tells you what's going on. But it also serves a dual purpose because it gets called back on far later on, and we go, okay, this is the stage. I know exactly the last time this was used. We're going to see the same thing happen here. And then Spree comes in to change things up.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
what's
I
so great
think
about that moment.
the eye thing with Sasha, the parallels between the flashback and then in reunion and then much later in season 3. I think it's a really cool use of it.
So difficult not to mention all the context we know now, but yeah.
Right. And then I know like Sasha doesn't really understand why Anne would want to like rush home to her family. I know Nick you want to just briefly bring that up.
Oh yeah, just a quick mention, but yeah, it's just pretty interesting to see how much importance Sasha puts into the friendship, especially during their conversation with I don't remember where it happens, but it's where Sasha tells Anne to like hang out with the friends that love her, and I feel like we have like a lot more context for now, like for now why Sasha puts so much emphasis into friendship herself.
Right. And then I like the fade away. Actually, let me just double check. I'm probably gonna go into like the present day in Amphibia, if that's okay with everyone.
Do we do you want to talk about how like before that before the transition that
Oh, the text from Marcy.
message?
Right.
Yeah, the text
Yeah, the text from
yeah.
Marcy. Yeah, that had me thinking. You know what I mean? It's just wow. To really get like the context, like the point of views from like each member of the trio on Ant's birthday. It really gives like the whole thing a different feel, especially seeing that text message.
Yeah.
And yeah, interestingly, like they've segmented that fateful day like into like so many different segments now. Like you had back in you had the season 1 and 2 intros where they actually show the inciting event of Anne opening the box, but then you had Best Franz, where it was just Anne taking the box and then like ending up in the park. And I'm really without getting in too much into like speculation, it'd be really interesting to see like how how much we haven't seen yet from that scene, and if they're gonna show us a little bit more about the moments that happened in between what we've seen so far.
Yeah, because we haven't really gotten like an idea of like how Anne's parents thought about, like, obviously not the opening of the box, they didn't see that, but like that in between period of when they were missing, that seems like something that the show might focus on later. Because we do get something a little bit like after the box was open, and like if you give a frog a cookie with the it gives up this weird energy and it opens a portal or whatever. So I think we'll definitely get maybe something in 3B for it, because I feel like we're definitely missing that context of what the parents thought when they all disappeared. So
Oh,
that sounds like a really important thing to go on.
I was
I was
thinking that
referring-
maybe.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Pixels.
I was gonna continue on what impacts. Like maybe we can see a video like an episode like the parents doing a search party or something, and then maybe it's been way too long and the parents just kind of gave up at the end. I'm not sure.
Oh, I was actually
Yeah,
just,
because
I was just
something
referring
like
to
that.
the just between like the three girls, like in between like any conversations they might have had in between
Oh,
grabbing the box and getting to the park.
right.
Because I feel like that's
Like in
the
their different perspectives.
right. Like I think we've seen Marcy's like perspective on that, like on those few hours. We might not get anything with Sasha because like Sasha was with Anne the entire time, but like maybe something the three of them in between getting the box, how Anne's feeling, and then getting to the park, and then maybe it'll fade back to like that'd be the end of the flashback.
Yeah.
I do think that it would make sense for them to try to do a Sasha part if they'd done it on Marcy. I don't know if it would be, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that has happened during and from like Marcy's side has been showcased, but maybe we could get something with Sasha leading up, because I know currently the biggest mystery around her is around her home and her parents. Maybe it's like she had a bad day before or something.
Right? Yeah.
It will
that's
make a lot of
possible.
sense. It will make a lot of sense too, because I think that Matt said that 3B there's gonna be a lot of more episodes in Wartwood, so maybe we get to see a lot more Sasha.
Possibly, yeah.
Mhm.
But then I'm just looking at the text from Marcy. It was just like Sasha making fun of Marcy, right? Or am I thinking about True Colors? Where like the text, the replies above and below.
I think there was like a haha and a LOL, and that was like really it. I think that's all you see, and then the box itself that Marcy sends.
Something
I think
generic.
that's really it. Yeah, just kind of. It doesn't really tell you that much.
Oh,
So,
okay.
which may be because they didn't establish Marcy's character like fully just yet, you know. So, yeah.
Okay. So I think we can go on to the present day, where I really like that like nice transition with the birds to the bugs, and then we have Bog, Fennec, and forgot the other guy's name. Like they're just like they lunge into the frame, and then like we just see them like crashing the party at the end of Anne of the Year, and I really like the quick scene of the planners like meeting, like Anne introducing the planners to Sasha for the first time, and just I liked all the small details there. I mean, I guess Nick, like, I like how Anne, like Polly referred to like Sasha as another Anne.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say that the best moment is still. I mean, I don't know if I've talked about it before, but man, I do love like the rivalry between Sprig and Sasha. So to go back to where it all started, it was amazing. What do you like? What like he said?
Bestie-in-law.
I'm Anne's best friend too, right? That makes us bestie-in-laws, right? And she
Just hits
looks
him
at
with the dozen.
dozen. You can feel his heart break when and like everyone just watches them as it's so fucking awkward. It's amazing. Oh man, I love that scene. I love, and that's when the pettiness starts because Sprig never forgot that. He never forgot. It wasn't killing him. Wasn't almost killing him. Wasn't the thing that pissed him off. No, it was that first interaction between them when she crushed his soul. That was what started it. And that was hilarious.
I like the little grunts that each of like the planners give when they introduce. Like, it feels like it feels like the start of like a fighting game where like you introduce like where you introduce all the characters, like a character select screen where they make like some random noise. Like Hop Hop just makes this like weird like annoyed grunt. But Polly's pretty chill, and like Sprig does a little hop.
Yeah, that's because I mean he was happy to see her for a good 10 seconds.
It all went downhill from there.
Yeah, and we get Sasha. Like once Sasha like learns who Hop Hop, like she meets Hop Hop, and we get that quick little like aside side comment she makes, which eventually like comes back into, which eventually like makes sense when we find out like why they're there.
Yeah, she mentions that she thought he would be taller, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once Sasha like name drops Grime, like all the planners, like we didn't back in Prison Break, like once we were introduced to like Grime properly, we just knew like he was the captain. At least here we know like he has like a reputation among the people of Frog Valley, like especially like the planners are basically like our stand-in for us. Like just explaining to us like that Grime like means business if he's here.
No, it was pretty interesting like to mention when they when Wartwood freaked out about him, right? Like what did they say about Grime? They said like was the cruelest toad ever to live or something. It's just pretty interesting to know like Grime's kind of small fry compared to like the other like what do they call them like I forgot. You know their titles like Beatrix and Bufal. I forgot about their titles, but you guys know what I mean though. It's pretty interesting to think about that. But yeah, if Grime like I mean straight up like he just stole that whole scene when he was talking to Wartwood and trying to butter them up, and like I forgot just how fun Sasha and Grime's dynamic was like back early on in the series. Like just when when he's giving this whole speech, right, and he finishes it, and Sasha like, tells him to make a smile, and like we just you know what I mean? Like that was just hilarious. Like freaks everyone out, and makes a baby cry. That was great.
The killer smile.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so iconic out of Grime.
I guess before we keep talking about Grime, Ben, what were your thoughts on Reunion? Just your general thoughts.
Yeah, I liked it. This was a good season finale. Yeah, even though Maggie, right? Yeah, that's her name. Even though she's brought in for like a minute scene, she's memorable. Yeah, you can see like kind of how Sasha was always like the leader of the friendship in the flashback. And yeah, we get to see more of Grime. Like we see Grime interacting with frogs. We get to see more of him. How he's like. I really liked it. This is, if not my favorite episode, probably like at least top 3 of season 1.
All right, thank you, Ben. So yeah, like back when like we kind of see the influence Sasha has had on Grime when he tries to like they don't want to like we know why they're here, but for now it just they want to come across as allies rather than like an invading force on the party.
Yeah, because like if Sasha was like never there like to begin with, I bet you Grime would have just like rushed into Wartwood, like maybe broken into the Plantars' house or something, or just pretty much just stomped in with an army, take out Hop Hop, and that was it. But it's a lot more like cleaner here, I guess. Sasha kind of obviously she's more manipulative and stuff. She's more scheming. So it kind of shows off of Grime a bit more. He's kind of lying a little bit. He's not super great at it, but I mean, it gets the job done. Sasha, helps him out a little bit during his speech to Wartwood. So, yeah. Also, like, one thing I want to mention with Grime that I thought was interesting, I think what Nick brought up, it's just like, because Grime isn't technically as, like, he's equal to the other Toad Lords, right? He's only, like, I guess a small fry once he's a fugitive, right? But he still has like so much power in Frog Valley. They're so scared of him. They're like, "Oh my God, it's Captain Grime." Who that? He never shows up here. He always just brings one of his like, some of his army around, and that's it. So, and it's interesting to look at Grime too, just from like a villain perspective of like, because once we get to like True Colors or like the rest of the show, like there's a lot bigger antagonists to deal with. So I don't know, just looking back at like Grime, how like I might be rambling a little bit too much, but I think looking back at like Grime as an antagonist is just really interesting. Just because like of how small scale he is compared to when we get to Andreas and his robots and all that. So there we go. That's all I wanted to say.
I think the like different perspectives of Grime are a really good example of kind of the background world building, like him being sort of like a revered Toad warrior to the Newts because he works for the king and stuff. But we get him in Yunnan, and then like to the people in Toad Valley, he's like big bad Toad. It's kind of like a lot of different ways that he gets looked down on or up at, I guess. But you can only see like the Newts. It's kind of a good example of how the Newts kind of use the Toads as they're the military stuff. And Yunnan thinks, oh, some Toad guy, he worked for the king, but he failed. And then, the frogs in Frog Valley are like, the Toads are our enemy, and we're terrified of them.
Right, like everyone's on a different like level. Like the hierarchy sees Grime in different ways. And then yeah, I like that. And then once they invite everyone to the banquet, like Mrs. Croker's line, how like it kind of shows that the town is going to uh they default to Anne for like what to do next. I think that's like a nice thing to like I think it's a nice carryover to Anne of the Year how they like all like kind of respect her, and especially in this case where they see someone that looks exactly like her, that they default to her to see what to do next.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, like I think we mentioned before that end of the year and reunion kind of work hand in hand together purely because of the fact of how well they lead to one another. And again, there's another example of that statement because like now that they fully trust Anne, like there's another human, and naturally Anne is gonna be the first. Naturally, is gonna be Anne is gonna be the first person they would ask because she's you know like they're she's the only human in this world, and they are coincidentally they're friends. Yeah, it's a nice development there. Nice detail.
Yeah, so once everyone agrees, like yeah, they all get on the party wagon thing. And I kind of
Whatever.
like how we had that really weird pause when Anne asks to bring the planners along. It's just like it lingers on her face for like about half a second before she like goes back into her I guess her role or her.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to describe her.
Usual demeanor.
Her. Yeah,
persona.
I'm trying to think of a way to describe how using the word bitch, but I'll avoid that.
Whoa, okay. Okay,
Well,
to be
you
fair,
guys
no,
know what I
no.
mean.
No, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
It's accurate. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's just it's
Her usual demeanor.
Yeah, I just like I feel like watching this the first time, I was like, ooh, that's creepy. But now I'm just rewatching it, I was like, it just makes me laugh anytime she does that. Because like it's pushing her buttons so hard, but because she always puts herself into a position which she has to like win some over by tricking them, like it just has to go along with it. It's just so great to see like, those cracks in the shell. Especially on a rewatch.
So yeah, it's true. I guess this podcast is not going to be for kids anymore. That's cool.
That's fine. We
There's
gotta
one
avoid
ever
the.
for kids?
It would never was.
I
Was
think
it
we had
ever
rights
for
to it
kids?
until then.
After the last episode, I don't know anymore.
I mean, we gotta avoid YouTube, like the scenario where YouTube disables the comment section. But I don't think that's the case for a 2 hour
Just
plus.
everybody
recording.
starts swearing
No,
for
no,
like
it's-
3 seconds.
Nah, it's fine.
No one comments on these videos anyway, so it's fun.
So we go. They take everyone back to Toad Tower, and you kind of see like the minor details that this isn't like a normal banquet. Like especially like right when they take everyone inside the castle gates, they like immediately shut the door. Like I'm just listening to it again. Yeah, like they make they make the sound effect like extra loud just to remind you it's not that this isn't gonna be a normal episode. And we can still see like
Actually, yeah, you're right about that. Oh, sorry.
I like that. I like that when they get to the tower and it just says ominous. Like we all know, no one's hiding it.
Yeah. Honestly, they're just really bad at hiding it. I mean, just the way they crash the dare in itself. You know what I mean? Like they all jump and they land loudly, surrounding them. And you know what I mean? Like, who do they think they're fooling? Like that's why like not all of them bought into that.
But yeah,
It's really
they pulled the frogs for like a solid 15 minutes before they got busted by Spring.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, it is. Reunion just does a really good job at just like yeah, you like Thumb. You're just mentioning how they made that door slam like extra loud. Like it really does sort of Reunion really does sort of emphasize the scenes where it needs to. Like yeah, even like the simple things compared to other episodes.
and I like how they still show Toad Tower still under like repairs after the events of Prison Break.
Yeah, that's a nice little continuity right there.
Yeah, and then like eventually like the Plantars and Anne split off, and I think in both was Hop Hop the one who mentions like giving for the kids to give Anne some space once she reunites with the friend. I feel like he said something similar at like Marcy at the Gates.
Yeah, he does. Like
You're
consistently
right.
done that.
You're right. Yeah.
Just really not. That's just see. It's like the little touches like that. You know what I mean? That shows that they really get him. Like that's just a really. That's just. I mean, even so, we know how Sasha is. It's still though. It's just the fact that Hop Hop like respects Anne's needs, and just the fact that she needs to catch up with his friend who she hasn't seen for 3 months. So I really like seeing that from Hop Hop.
Yeah, like Hop Hop's the adult in the room, so like he knows like he kind of understands like what needs to be done.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah.
Although to be fair, like what now we know what happened with Children of the Spore. You know he's not gonna be polite with Sasha if he does know what she's actually planning.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think any of them would be.
Oh, imagine if Hop Hop had like some Children of the Spore goo left over during the events of Reunion.
Wow.
And then just like then just like gave that to Anne during the fight, and then
Wow.
just slaps it on Sasha.
The show would have taken a very different turn.
Yep.
Be over a couple minutes early.
Yeah.
You could just tell her to jump off the tower. They wouldn't need to dramatically let her fall.
Oh my god. Oh wow.
They wouldn't. They would. I
wouldn't.
mean, they wouldn't tell her to jump off, but
Do a flip.
like,
Oh my god. Sprig would,
Lean
but
on me. Like,
Sprig would, but not Anne or
Do a-
Pop.
I guess
no, I even have the song playing in my head. Jeez, you guys are dark. Like,
oh yeah, I realized when they started playing "Lean on Me," like they started playing it, I think a little bit right before the tower like started crumbling, actually. So like it started playing, and you could kind of tell something bad was going to happen.
I think
It
it happened.
reminds me of the.
Oh, I
It
guess.
really reminds me of.
Oh, sorry,
Go
Pickle.
ahead.
Go ahead.
You can.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, we'll probably save like the tower collapsing talk a little bit later on.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. Makes sense.
Okay. But that the kind of oh moment though, it really reminds me of in Avatar. There's a moment. I guess this is minor spoilers. I guess fast forward if you don't want to hear this.
Yeah, spoilers for
It's major
like an
spoilers, but
18-year-old
it's minor in the fact that
cartoon.
everyone's seen Avatar.
Yeah.
There's a moment right after the final Agni Kai where you know it's like a yay moment, and then Zuko looks down on Azula, and she's like sobbing, and it's like oh, this isn't that happy. This is really sad. Why are we celebrating before the thing?
Right. And I guess like before the planet, like right after Anne and the planners like split up, we kind of get like Sasha's aware of like how much Anne likes the planners company, and then she kind of like tries and reminds her about like what she was like before in Amphibia, where she's like, oh, like what happened to like not liking frogs, and I just thought that was like a nice like. Okay, so she actually says, "Oh, you seem close to those three. What happened to frogs like being the worst?" And then I don't know. I think that was just a nice thing. Like Sasha's not oblivious. Like
yeah, see that's always a nice. Oh, go ahead.
no, I'm done.
Okay, but yeah, no, that's always a nice touch. Like anytime, like the girls reunite, you know what I mean? Like there's always like that period. There's always that period of time where they really start to recognize the changes that occurred in one another. You know what I mean? And I feel like, yeah, for some of them it takes them a while, and like, yeah. I mean, I have like some thoughts popping in my head, but yeah, it is pretty interesting to think about just how they use sort of like Sasha and Marcy during Anne's journey in Amphibia, right? Like they're always like they're sort of like they're always like sort of trying to pull Anne back towards like how things used to be, right? And like that's how they honestly that's how they're usually a major conflict for her in these first two seasons. You know what I mean? Like there's Anne's like development and change of relationships versus Sasha and Marcy just trying to pull her back. So that's some of the stuff I noticed in this episode. You know, just Sasha like constantly recognizing these like little things here and there, just seeing how Anne changed herself. Like that's pretty interesting to see.
Oh yeah,
Are
definitely.
you-
The dinner
I-
and
Go ahead, Impact.
the dinner and Marcy at the gates were like totally dedicated to that. So
Right.
I'd
it's really
say like
interesting how they do that.
for Marcy at the gates, it's kind of in reverse.
Yeah, that's what I
Like-
was gonna say.
Like Anne, like it's more like Anne wants to kind of like is pretending Marcy hasn't really changed in Amphibia. Like she kind of wants to keep that status quo of protecting Marcy and keeping her safe. Because Anne, in her head, Marcy's just that clumsy girl who's like, you know, she's pretty smart, but like she's super oblivious. And that's still kind of the case in Amphibia, but like Marcy at the Gates is all about like Anne realizing, oh, Marcy has grown, she has changed. And that's what makes their friendship better, like once we get to like in Utopia and stuff and all that. So I'd say it's more of the opposite in Marcy at the Gates. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually can't remember any scene where Marcy is the one who's like wanting to go back to where things were. Like with Sasha here, it's actually the reverse, like what Impact said.
I guess in regards
Well, I
to
guess
Marcy, like she did progress in some ways, but I think in like at her
Yeah, in other
core,
ways.
she
Yeah.
didn't. But like I
Like,
guess like that's more about like Marcy talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like this episode is about and Sasha and Plantars. Well, I guess we could save the Marcy talk in another time.
For Marcy at the gates. Yeah.
At March at the
Yeah,
gates.
Marcy at the
Yeah, I
gates.
mean,
Heck yeah.
but yeah, like, but what I really did see was just like a tug of war. You know what I mean? Between like, just between like, yeah, just between like who Sasha views Anne as, and just what Anne's relationship with the Plantars helped her become here. So that's just sort of why I saw between these two.
Right, and I like how like once Anne mentions she's been living in the basement, we get to see how like Sasha's been living like at once she got out of like the jail cell. And
You know,
oh, go
We've been
ahead.
living like somehow got ketchup, French fries, like KFC. Like what the hell?
it always felt like Sasha was like showing off a little bit to Anne in that part, like just kind of trying to show like I guess how cool she is in her own way to kind of gain dominance over Anne. It's like Anne's living in a basement or whatever. Like I'll show you what I've been living at the whole time. Just kind of it kind of demonstrates that like hierarchy of Sasha being above Anne, and she keeps trying to demonstrate that to her. So yeah,
Sasha just wants to show off.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past her.
yeah,
yeah.
consistently a show off.
yeah.
Yeah,
And-
I also just viewed it as her like trying to win her Anne over, right? Like give her something like really, really, really show how she's been living a high life compared to her. That's crazy. Like I didn't take a screenshot of the full spread, but like what did she have on that? What did she have on that dinner table? Like
Pizza, chicken,
Right.
like pizza,
French
ketchup,
fries.
French
Tacos.
fries, like tacos, like practically honestly gourmet compared to what Anne had back then. Like she said she was eating bugs. She finally got used to eating bugs for about a month, and like
Were there burgers in that table too?
yeah.
yeah, I think there were. I think
Pretty
there were.
sure,
I
yeah.
think so, yeah.
Like, how the heck did they got that?
But there's like some minor details where like the pie had like a couple flies on it, and a pizza had like a bigger, like a larger than average size mushroom, and I think it looks like a worm, but it's kind of cut off.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how. Because like now, I'm just thinking of the fact they tried to make a pizza like what was all the way back in like Hopluck or something.
Hopluck.
Yeah, Hopluck, and then like Sasha just has like a pizza right here. Like, wonder how Anne felt seeing that. Like, she had to risk her life. She actually had to risk her life, sold away Sprig's future for pizza, and then like Sasha's was like, oh hey, yeah, I practically got this every weekend. Like, you just on the one like you just compare both their lives to an Amphibia. It's just like Christ.
Yeah.
Like Sasha was much more pampered.
Yeah.
Well, for 2 months. For 2 months. That first month was very nice there.
Yeah.
For
so
a
she's
little
like
bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's Marcy. Who's living
Oh,
the
yeah,
high life for all
Marcy
that
got the best.
That free healthcare. Free healthcare.
Free healthcare, heck yeah. She lives in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We'll call it free with absolutely no strings attached.
I mean, at least in Canada, it's like the. I mean, I'm guessing in Utopia, like teeth and eyes aren't considered luxury parts. That's just me being salty about our healthcare system. But anyways, yeah, like Anne had ketchup, which
Look at him.
which means they probably like murdered those like tomato monsters like every week to like keep a steady supply.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, wasn't the tomatoes like growing like under the monster part? So they probably didn't really need to kill them all the
Yeah,
time. They just probably like
Yeah, they just need to like tame one.
Knowing the toads would probably
tamed or distracted it. Yeah, knowing toads, they probably like kill it and then like mush it all up.
Oh man. at least the tomato monsters are evil.
Yeah.
No,
Evil being
Yeah.
general.
we don't need to feel bad about them. But
Yeah, they probably make some killer ketchup. Like
they don't-
honestly,
they don't
I would murder them.
Yeah. It would be even better if there's bananas in the world. They could mix them together. Delicious.
Oh,
Ew. Wait. Bananas with ketchup?
yeah,
banana ketchup.
Ew. Ew.
They're not the thing.
I don't even like ketchup, but ew.
I guess like
Ew, the fudge? The heck?
and then that scene and then the scene with Sasha and Anne just ends with like her finding out she can take a shower. But like I know I know
yeah.
we know Anne at least like
Yeah, what she was
bathed.
doing in Wartwood, like, I see. Okay, I just okay. One thing I realized is we never got to see like the Plantar family's bathroom. Like, we never got to see what it looked like. Like, we got
They probably don't
mentions to it,
have
but, like,
one.
They do.
They got an outhouse or something.
No, because
No,
they
they
mentioned
mention
bathroom
it. They mention
stakeout.
it.
Like, I know in stakeout, like when Hopper took a battering ram of all the pigs and try and smash down the door. Like,
that's why we
like
didn't see the
we didn't get to see it, but like we did hear the whole thing, and like, yeah, apparently they do have a bathroom, but we've just never seen it. And damn, I just realized how much I miss the house.
Maybe their bathroom is the
I think
fire pit.
I miss their house so much.
I guess they probably have like a bathtub and like just not running water like to have a shower.
I don't think they have a bathtub because, like, in the quarantine thing, they called the bathtub the living pond, the indoor pond. So it's pretty clear that they're really familiar with stuff.
Oh, poor Anne. Poor Anne. Like, please
Poor
somebody
Anne.
had. I don't even. Do they even have soap? Like anything that you could clean
They have to have soap,
bathroom?
please.
No,
Do
they've
they?
been, like,
They-
brushing
it's
teeth
like
since 6 months. There's no way she's been showering.
Yeah,
No,
she was reporting.
hopefully
Like,
she got something in Newtopia.
She only
they said,
showered
for
like
months and 8 cavities, like 6 cricket legs or something. Like,
But like
she only
in
I
the very
think
first
she had
episode,
cavities, yeah.
in the very first episode, Anne brushed her teeth though.
but I mean, we can assume at some point she ran out though. Like,
Oh, the
she had a-
toothpaste.
She
Like,
ran out of toothpaste.
yeah.
And went months without brushing her teeth properly.
They probably have a bug that is used as toothpaste.
I mean,
Or
They don't
something.
have
What-
teeth,
they have
no.
bugs
Yeah,
that are
that's why-
used.
No.
8 cavities though. 8 cavities.
But like
Probably,
frogs,
not
I mean,
It's
she can't
probably
floss,
not-
but who cares?
do frogs
Yeah.
have teeth? That's the question.
well, in
I
this
I
case
mean-
they do.
Oh wait,
They're
these
shown
guys
to have teeth.
Yeah, these frogs have teeth, but I don't think they brush.
Or floss.
But
Yeah,
I guess
we don't know that.
moving on from Anne's hygiene, we had we get to see how the planners are doing it. It's like it's a pretty plentiful banquet. Like even though we find out this is a trap, it's still they
It's
still
all a sham.
yeah. At least the toads were like hospitable enough to like
Yeah.
give all
Oh
leave
yeah,
all that
it
food
was
out.
a nice banquet. I would have loved to be a prisoner at that banquet. I got
love-
some good
Yeah,
food.
Hop totally
Crab
stole the
legs.
scene, though, when like you're trying to hoard all the crab legs, like that's a mood. Like
Yeah,
like,
he's
like,
telling
bring
Polly
down
to
a crab
throw
leg,
the
these
crab
little
leg,
cats.
throw the potato.
Now, there's a perfectly reasonable explanation to make it that fancy. Anything that's left after you've gotten rid of all of the frogs is now toad food. Easy peasy.
Wait.
Got your own banquet.
I hate to Google this. Do toads? No.
With the
What,
toads, what?
Do
Toads
toads eat
eat
frogs?
Frogs? I don't think
I mean-
so.
No,
That's
I
all
don't.
the frogs
I
have
doubt
left.
it.
Once
I
you
mean,
deal
they're
with the
bullfrogs.
frogs,
but, like,
Some
the
toads
yeah,
are
toads-
the rest
cannibalistic.
of them run,
Yeah.
then you eat the actual banquet. The food that the frogs haven't eaten.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now-
some toads are Eat
Dang it,
frogs.
dang it, Sunsfury. Now you made me thought of a scene where the toads murder everyone in the freaking banquet. If the show is like if the show is an adult show airing on like Adult Swim or something.
Yikes.
Honestly, I put my money on Wartwood being able to beat them though. I mean, we like Wartwood's an army themselves. Like we know that for a fact. Like they've repelled like I'm like so yeah. This is even that. That's not even the first time being surrounded by a bunch of toads. I mean, they have this in the
Yeah.
bag.
Mm.
I mean, Chuck, like, dude moves at the speed of light, pretty much. So, like, I want money on him.
And I kind of this is such a minor thing, but like when Mrs. Croker is like taking all of the refreshments, I think she did the same thing in Hop Pop and Luck. I think. Like was
Oh
she
yeah, she's just like gulp,
chugging down?
another
Yeah, she's
one.
like, gulp.
Gulp,
Yeah, gulp.
another
I'm like,
one.
yeah, come on. They have absolutely zero manners, and it's just great.
I think the real most important arc in Amphibia is Miss Croker fighting her addiction.
Season 3B has an episode where Sasha pulls together all the Wartwood citizens for Miss Croker's intervention.
Oh,
No,
like,
Sasha
Croker's
also
intervention or
drinks and
something.
like the theme
No,
song Pickle.
but no, that's gonna be the girls slash townie episode. Sasha and Mrs. Croker, where they share together life stories over drinks. Sasha learns how to be an alcoholic for the first time.
It ends with them going on a drunken rampage.
Heck yeah. Sasha embracing her ancestral roots.
But we get to see Sprig actually picking up on social cues for like the second time in the series. The first being anything involving Anne's friends. And I just
Ooh, yeah, that was. Oh, sorry. Keep
What?
going.
Why is Sprig so good at like picking up what's going on with like the girls, but yet he's so oblivious to everything else?
I mean,
Like he's
he's a
I feel like
boy. We're kind of oblivious to some stuff.
Well, I guess to be fair, like Anne is like Sprig's best friend. I feel like it is his responsibility to look after her.
Yeah. He knows what's up when it matters. Except
Yeah.
for the dinner. We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but that was such a funny little scene though. Like he goes up to that guy, he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, nothing. Don't do anything, okay?" Then he's just like, "Sure, buddy." Like this, like that toad guard puts all his trust in Sprig, and like he walks away. Like he glances back at him, and like you know what I mean? Like they both share a smile, like as if they're on the same page. And Sprig tells him, "Just fucking."
And then he's just he's like,
Oh man,
this is a sham.
like that was so good.
Hey everybody, this is a sham. We're not guests. We're prisoners. Heck yeah.
and then I like how like the guard, he's just like sweating uncontrollably, like right when Sprig walks up to him. And then like after that, like just when he thinks like everything's like under control, like Sprig knows he's just messing with the guy.
Yeah, just absolute betrayal from Sprig.
I kind of like it. Like I think this is the third time we've had in the season where Sprig like establishes like a bond between like just a random character and just immediately shatters that trust. Like the first time it was the pumpkin monster, second time the conductor, and then now with this the toad guard.
Yeah, no, then I'll make for some really funny scenes every single time.
Yeah.
We need to stop talking about Sasha. Sprig's the master manipulator here. He's
Honestly,
the real
yeah, he's way too good at it. He's way too good at it.
I
Like, he
mean,
quickly. Oh, go ahead.
like he's usually stupid, but when it counts, he's actually good what he's doing.
Yeah, he quickly forges friendships and he just tosses them away.
The corporate mindset.
We wonder why he only had one friend before Anne. He just keeps tossing them away. He's betrayed all
like
of them.
actually tossing them.
And then, yeah, I just love the expression of Sprig on the table. And then, yeah, we get,
Oh, yeah, the Muppet face.
yeah. And then once we get that quick scene of stuff like the chaos like unfolding, and then like I just like that quick thing of the Polly, like, did Polly knock a guy to the ground? And then I'm just rewinding
She
it.
used like a
She's like a one-man army. But you know, that whole scene was just great though. You know, what I mean, 'cause I just love it though when like Wartwood is always underestimated, but then as soon as they get feisty, they're like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Because like there's always that oh shit moment with an enemy. That was just great to see her again.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned Polly, oh man, I'm so happy she's not the same character as she was in season 1.
Why's that one?
I think Polly was fine in season 1.
Like, no,
she was- she
I'm
was-
not. Yeah, like I'm not saying that she was a bad character in season 1, but like I just appreciated how much she changed in season, like in the future of the show. So
Yeah, she's like actually getting an arc before she was just like flat comic relief.
yeah.
You know, she went from like sweet and endearing to all sweet, endearing, and violent to like critical, snotty.
I don't think she was ever not violent though.
Yeah, I think.
That's why. I
Oh
went back
no,
to
yeah,
that
she
season.
was always violent. She just wasn't like the center of attention or something.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
interesting.
no.
I think out of all the characters in this episode, like I'm not gonna get too heavy on it, but Polly was definitely, she didn't really have the, like, we had Sprig and Anne's relationship like contrast with Sasha. We had Hop Pop's role in like being the catalyst for this episode itself with the rebellion and whatnot. But like Polly really didn't really have a role
Well,
in
not
like
not much of a role, but like us, I guess, like an arc going in here.
Yeah, I guess an
Yeah,
arc.
she's
And
mostly just used for comedy more than anything. So she only really like because Polly only really becomes like super like she only really has her own like story. I would say like once we get to like Frobo and stuff,
yeah, I think
Polly's episodes in this season are kind of like they don't really change her that much. He's kind of static for now.
But
So,
I do think like after season 1, Polly ends up becoming the most dynamic character in terms of like she goes through the most physical change. Frobo
Yeah.
really changes how she. After Frobo, she definitely like we get to see her like another side of her with like the engineering things in
Yeah.
season 3. I'm
Yeah,
getting a
plus-
little bit. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit too far ahead of myself, but I guess she's the one who brings in Frobo and Michelangelo, which it's nice how like Michelangelo ended up being like the like it's like the future to like the predecessor, not predecessor,
Successor.
the successor to Bessie, and then Frobo is like this like unaging like thing from the past that would probably like advance the planner's future in terms of just like work around the house, which is I don't know, like maybe that's all I'm gonna leave it off at that.
Yeah, plus like
Yeah.
her violence is nerfed. So yeah, like, and we can leave off of that.
I mean, it's still the
Yeah,
violence is still
exactly.
there, it just has a motive,
yeah,
which
Yeah,
might be
true.
which might be more deadly now. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, so we go
it's
back
more
to
concentrated now.
yeah, exactly.
And just wouldn't know what they did. Anyways, yeah.
So we go back to like Anne and Sasha, and then this is pretty much where like Sasha gives like she gives a glimpse of like the bigger picture beyond Wartwood on how like there's like kind of there's a rebellion forming against the hierarchy in Amphibia, specifically the Frog Valley against the Toads, and we find out like Hop Hop was the root of all of this, and like events such as toe tax, how popular were actually like the repercussions of those episodes actually like led to this confrontation happening.
I guess you can also count Plantars' last stand on that too.
Oh right, because that's when Hop Hop lost the stand. That's like everything that
Yeah.
everything related
Yeah.
to the stand like played a role in getting to reunion, which is an interesting way to like weave all those segments together with season 1 with reunion.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
whole
and you
scene was
don't
just great
really.
because, like, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say like yeah, and you don't really like when you're watching season 1, you aren't really thinking about like how these story beats are gonna lead anywhere because they aren't really mentioned after that point until you get to reunion. Heck, I think like the entire show kind of does that just in general of like setting up all these big story beats and then everything kind of gets revealed to you at the end. So I think that's really interesting to kind of look back at like season 1 in general and how it kind of relates to reunion so well. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like yeah,
Oh, go
like
ahead,
like
Nick.
watching oh yeah yeah sorry about that, yeah. Watching reunion for the first time, like I definitely did get that feeling you just mentioned Untagged. Like just like these episodes I didn't think would like come together in a big way like this. You know, like, I never imagined that, but when they did, you know, it gave like having Sasha and Anne finally reunite, like that already gave a reunion a big feeling. But just knowing that all these separate plots that I witnessed just amplified it even more. Like it really did feel like the season was coming together just by mentioning these few things.
And I think like honest to God, I think that's also like kind of what's happening with I might be going too far, but that's definitely something that's happening with 3A. That's going to be a big thing once we get to like 3B in general. So like once you notice those patterns in Amphibia, like the show's never wasting your time, essentially. So yeah.
Right, I like this idea that I really like this idea that there were more eyes on Wartwood than we initially thought. And then like Sasha, like we get to see the map behind Sasha with the just the names of the other towns. It's like Swamp Shiro, uh, sorry, Swamp Shiro, Lily Paddington, and Bug Bottom. But we didn't. We're not gonna revisit these. We're not gonna visit these towns. But I know Matt mentioned in an AMA that we would get a look at Swamp Shiro, but that was back in like season 2. So I don't know. Maybe things change, plans change. But we hope we get to see these other towns to some extent.
That's gonna be the 3B plot. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. But yeah, like the main thing is that like Sasha, like Anne finds out like Hop Hop is like the reason the Toads are here, and like they're planning on executing him, and we find out it was all Sasha's idea, which makes things even more complicated.
Yeah, it's just great. See, that's like it's little things like that that just really give you like the full feeling of a relationship with Grind, right? Like she's the brain, she's the brawn, like she's she's the like I'm losing my
Conspirator.
words. Yeah, conspirator. She's like yeah, the manipulative one. Well, Grind like and just what I really do like is just how they feed off one another. You know what I mean? Like not to go into the later bits of the episode, but you guys already know what I mean, right? Like just how they teach each other and just learn from each other. It's just really something.
Also, it's kind of crazy that a 13-year-old girl is actually responsible for the plan to inspire killing an old grandpa. Like, what?
Oh
Yeah, I know
yeah.
Sasha's thing is strength, but she's pretty smart, at least when it comes to like, she's not emotionally mature, but she like gets how to work people, you know? She knows how to
Yeah.
scheme. I mean, Grimes says it, you know, manipulating, backstabbing, scheming is all her things.
I feel like it's a
Oh.
problem, though.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a problem.
I also just want to say real quick that reunion is when we first learn of Flipwort, which is the chess-like game from the first temple.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
like
yeah, that's
that's like when
mentioned
we
like a
see
little
it.
later. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like Grime says flipboard in another game, and then later
But-
we obviously see it.
They were all playing bog jump while you were playing flipwart.
Yeah, bug jump. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Anne just like immediately runs out, and she doesn't take that, like, she doesn't take this well, and then we cut back to the planners, or not planners, just like all the townsfolk, and they start the riot.
They're freaking out.
Yeah, I guess like once apparently this fight seemed pretty tame until Ivy like threw the dish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks, Ivy.
Ivy also went crazy there.
But then like right before like the toads can like escalate, like that's when like Anne comes in to she just puts her hood up, but I guess it makes sense from the toad and frog's perspective. Like they've never seen anyone like Anne or Sasha before, so just like Anne probably was like able to easily dupe them all at the time.
Yeah, no, you mean her Sasha.
I mean, Anne also
it
did
was like-
kind of use a Sasha type speech
The
pattern,
Valley Girl
I guess.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she didn't just sound like Anne. She
That was kind of funny.
she mimics Sasha a little bit.
I wonder how Anna kind of felt about it because it's kind of her real voice.
It's like Anna's voice is not even she doesn't even have the Valley Girl accent.
That was just so mean. That was so. Like that's what Sasha's.
Oh, wow.
Like she was like, "Is that what Anne thinks? Like, is that what I sound like?" She was like, "Is that what I feel like?" Imagine she was just around to hear that. Like that was.
Yes.
Yes, Queen.
Oh, okay, please stop.
No, but something I did like about this scene though, it's just like it just makes you question like how effective of a lieutenant was Sasha. I mean, goddamn, like the toes. They're like, yeah, you're in trouble now. Just because, like the fact that Sasha's even more intimidating than them, like it just makes you think, like, what kind of shit did Sasha get up to that just gave her this reputation?
Honestly, the image of like this 13-year-old girl, you know, whatever, taking the toads to the pain room or like telling them to drop and give me 20 is so funny. That's what
And
they call it,
Sasha's
the pain room.
version of drop and give me 20 is probably something like
Push-ups.
give me 20.
Like
She probably just
I don't
did
know.
probably just
Something
wears it.
teenage related.
20 push-ups or sit-ups because she's a cheerleader.
with one hand behind the back,
I bet she.
one hand behind their back.
Yeah.
Bet
Yeah,
she
she's
wears it
probably
all
make
the time.
Small do a pyramid whenever they get in trouble.
Oh, it's like not the pyramid.
Gotta do guard duty in the pyramid shape.
Honestly, it makes me laugh.
I bet she just glares at them and makes a snarky remark and just absolutely destroys their self-esteem.
Like she has like
I was about to
Something
say
like-
that. Yeah.
Yes, that was so good. Good job, Percy. Or something.
like she has
Destroy the whole
Some
social
other-
status and everything.
she has like
You were
20. She has 20
almost
toads.
as good as the other guy.
Wait, what did you say, Tom?
She has like 20 toads just like form a pyramid outside the tower, and she just like watches from like afar for like 20 minutes.
Oh, God.
And she's like, if you get out of the pyramid shape, I will never forgive you.
And it's not
I'm
even
not invited to my birthday party.
it's not even like the normal pyramid. It's the inverted one where like there's one person at the bottom.
Oh my god.
I kind of want an episode now.
Person at the bottom is the person who fucked up the most,
Yeah.
and at the top is the least.
I kind of want an episode now. That would be so funny.
And I like how when Anne like walks in and just reveals herself, like Sprig just like shouts her name and like it's like this like
Yeah, I'm
long.
surprised none of the toads were like listening through the door and were like, I wonder why nobody's screaming. And none of them like bust in or anything.
And then I like how Sprig was like about to like redo his line back in like when he like the prisoner's line, but then like Anne stops him. Oh,
Yeah,
not
she's
stops him,
like,
just
yeah,
interrupts.
prisoners
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. And also, I also like Pop Pop's like once Hop Pop finds out, he's like so like he's just admiring the photo and then just starts freaking out when reality sets in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a good poster. Oh no, I'm gonna die.
Oh, I forgot to say, but I really love how one of the newspapers of Hop Hop was literally just him eating a sandwich.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like? It was like
It was like
it was like something in
Really?
Defiance.
Quiet Defiance. Like
Oh.
that was like the article
Yeah.
title.
And he was literally just eating a sandwich. Like,
Yeah, and then yeah, we get her interacting with Loggle and Wally, and we get that scene with like Wally pulling out the boom shrooms.
We could blow this place sky high, Anne.
And then like
Wink.
yeah, like
But he's using his bad
yeah,
eye.
he's using the bad eye, so like I mean Wally I like
I
how Wally
appreciate
Oh, go ahead,
how
Sunsfury.
they make it clear that he is winking. He is trying to wink with his dead eye, and they make it like with the way Wally's entire body just kind of winks for him, like
Yeah, he moves his body
So hard.
forward.
as if he was winking, and you can tell even the first time, yeah, he's winking, but he's not winking because that's his dead eye. This is gonna be a whole problem.
Yeah, you hear the sound effect for it and everything too. So
And I bet if they use the other,
oh no.
I bet if they like use the other eye, they could have like played it off as like, I couldn't tell if you were winking or blinking or something. But it was just as good with them using his dead eye.
Oh, Pickle, you wanted to say something?
I was just mentioning the later on there's the scene where he's placing down the boom shrooms and it's just like the building of oh no on top of the other oh no that you kind of have when you first take winks, I guess.
Right. And then Loggle was being like as helpful as usual.
Yeah, he's just, I do. I don't.
I love
I
that. Like, I even though it's annoying, I also just love that. You know what I mean? It's like,
And then
it's like one of
literally
the ongoing-
everyone like gets mad at Loggle in that moment. Like the entire town.
That's how the writers
why
got
does he
away
get
with
caught?
doing it again. Like, the only reason that works is because everybody else in the room has the exact same reaction as the audience and just goes, "Oh, not this again."
Yeah. Man, they're gonna be fighting the core and like they're gonna be out of ideas. And like you know what Long's gonna be doing if they ask if anyone has an idea for it.
Yeah, and then they go
Yeah,
into
that is just one of my
Do that
favorite
at
ongoing
least one more
gags.
time before the end of the show.
Oh, for sure, yeah. We need to
Oh,
get
go ahead.
Loggle again.
Yeah, there's gonna be one
Yes,
more.
please.
There's gonna be one more Loggle gag for the end.
oh, there has to be. There has to be.
I mean, Loggle was in the season 3 intro. Like, he has to be.
Yeah, he's gonna be big. It's gonna be a Loggle season.
Year of the Loggle.
Sasha and Loggle episode.
It's such an Loggle.
Loggle the
Okay.
axolotl. But yeah, they head into the basement. We get like Polly just like Felicia. Felicia, I think that was Ivy's mother's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like I like how Polly just immediately just like when she like hops into the sewer like I guess her like the motion like kind of like helps the the pan down into the next scene, which is nice. And then yeah, not much to add here. Like just like the funny gag with like another monster. Then Pickle brought up the boom shrooms. Like we see how many that Wally has set, and we know it's gonna come back eventually. And then eventually, once they get above ground, they're immediately caught.
They're like immediately caught and then just brought right back to the top of the tower.
Yeah, like it's like from bottom to top again, and then yeah. So I'm guessing. Well, I'm guessing this was the only viable exit. That's why they got there. Yeah, not much to add there. Like I guess now we can get into like the tower talk where
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like a giant Venus flytrap is waiting for Hop Pop at the bottom, and then yeah, we get the flip ward bog jump gag.
Woohoo, foreshadowing.
I just like the detail of like how like Grime kind of like the quote is that there's no other way creature. Our very way of life is at stake. I don't expect an outsider like you to understand. So it's like, yeah, a lot of this language is very. I guess this would probably be like really relevant. This would, I don't want to say accurate. It's just that if this was from like the very first or second episode, like you wouldn't think too much about it because it makes sense because Anne's like brand new to the world. But like now, like we've seen her interact with Wartwood, so it's like we know she's not that much of an outsider anymore.
But damn, it's just knowing how Grime is now. You know, it was just like, see, this is like the pleasure that comes with just revisiting the earlier parts of the series. Just having Grime, like, feel like, you know what I mean? Like he's so ingrained with the system. Like he believes so much of the system, and just having like, it's not even just about doing his job. Like having someone actually challenge that, like it pisses him off. Like Anne's presence right there, like he is disgusted. Like just witnessing her even like challenge anything that's going on here. So yeah, that was just great. Also Troy Baker, holy shit, like really killing of Grime.
Yeah, Troy Baker was great. Especially later on, where once like the action starts, and then I think Troy Baker mentioned that like his performance as Grime is kind of like cat-like, and you kind of get that with the trial by combat scene.
Yeah. Plus that it's the voice. Like there's something he does with his, like when he pronounces certain words. Like there's just something to that. You know what I mean? Like he sort of like drags on it, but it's like
like purrs.
Yeah. That, yeah. This is really nice. A really nice touch. Like Jesus, it like Grime like practically steals any scene that he's in Reunion. Like he just all the focus just on him, just off a couple words.
Yeah, and then we like once they grab Hop Pop, like everyone's getting ready to throw down, and then when Anne pulls out her sword to like defend Hop Pop, like Sasha once again like kind of like controls the crowd when she like momentarily stops the fighting and tries to like reach through Anne one last time with the like the end of discussion thing. Like Sunsfury, you brought up like how this is kind of like the end, like this is like the nuclear option for Sasha to try and control Anne.
It also really shows like Sasha's general sort of crowd. She has like control over the crowd. She can just cut through it and tell them to stop.
Right, and then like
Yeah. When she like roared like that's enough, and there's like echo. Like she just all the focus just placed on her after that. Oh yeah, also I also did love the use of her theme, right, when she got Anne to put down the sword. Like that was just great. Like the little snippets there, like that was all we had back then. You know what I mean? Like the ominous Like, what was it piano they were using for a theme? Like I don't remember. Like you guys know.
It's like something you'd
ominous
hear
tone
from
that
like a music box. So like the music box and
Yeah.
Sasha's like theme at the time were kind of like interchangeable because
Yeah, kind of similar.
they didn't have something definitive at the time, so they both
Yeah.
kind of worked hand in hand. Oh yeah, before Heart Stomper.
Stop Harker.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'd stop her. Huh? Stop it. No.
Yeah, and then of course we have Sprig coming
go.
in for the
Let's go.
Sprig.
For the assist.
Yeah, he comes in for like the save. And I like how he literally like what's the term, like just he threw mud or was
It's
Fling.
it's like
flinging mud.
I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not even gonna say it. Like,
What?
I don't even want to because they literally just went for a fucking sewer. I'm not gonna say that.
He was like he threw shit at her.
Oh my god.
Like I mean, like if that didn't happen before, I wouldn't be thinking it. But the fact they went for it, you have to wonder where he got that pretty fast. Like I don't.
I mean, he like pulled it out of his pocket or something. Like, why does he have mud in his pocket?
That's why they hate each other. That's why they hate each other. That's why they hate each other. Like it's that. That's what started it. That's what started the That's
You
what
good,
started.
Lemur?
You okay there?
You good?
No. I'm sorry.
Breathe, Lemur. Breathe.
God damn it, Nick.
Yeah, I just muted my mic for a few seconds.
Like, dang it, man. Wow.
I'll bring
but
this
I
back. I'll
like-
bring this back. Fantastic scene. Fantastic
And,
scene.
yeah.
I have to say, like, it is an amazing scene right there. It really make like if you didn't love Spran before, you're gonna love it in this moment now. Like, just the fact that Sasha tried to pull her bullshit on Anne again, sort of like really because from Sasha's point of view, like Anne was like a wild dog, like that she hasn't seen for months now. Like she was constantly trying to pull her back, like subdue her back to that version of Anne that she knew and loved, right? And like here she almost had it, right? She almost caged Anne, just like that. But no, Sprig right then, like he knows the best parts of Anne. He knows Anne at her best, and he knew that like what he saw right there, that was not a good part of her, and that was not like, and he knew for a fact that's not who she wants to be at all. And so, yeah, it was up to him to pull her out of that, and I just love it. I love how they used Sprig. It wasn't Hop Pop, it wasn't Polly, it was Sprig who knew her heart the most in Amphibia, and I just love that.
Yeah, and also it puts a lot it shows like even though Sprig, in comparison to the time like Anne has spent with Sprig compared to Sasha, like Sprig had a better understanding of like who Anne could be. And I know Sunsfury, you wanted to talk about like Anne being heroic, and yeah, I like how like Sprig is the one who brings her back and like makes crystallizes everything, like this entire arc that Anne has.
Yeah, Sprig's backing her up in that final key moment, that make or break. This is the defining moment of Anne being heroic in season 1, and Sprig's right there, her best friend, ready to back her up, and that's who Anne is as an individual throughout all of season 1. She's always linked to Sprig, and they're always like going on adventures together, and that final moment pushes them as this duo, and being heroic, finally standing up for what she should have done many, many weeks ago.
That's your exact wording, isn't it? She said, I should have done this a long time ago.
Yep.
Right, and then that's when we get
The sword fight, or was it like the duel?
That's like the goo
It's
moment just
same
after the
thing.
sword fight. Well, it's pretty much the same, yeah. Just at
Different-
the end of the sword fight.
and then I'm trying. Yeah, like we get that quick moment between like Sasha and Grime, and then like Grime is the one to we kind of see like Grime is Sasha's Sprig, and like his influence on her, and it kind of just like complicates the situation even more, where he pretty much pits them he pits them in like a bubble to like figure their stuff out, and they're just like the spectator.
Yeah, like didn't he say like an incredible like monologue in that?
He was like,
Yep.
he was like, it's my time to give advice to you. Stamp this out, or nothing will ever be the same between you again. Something like that, I think. And then like, yeah, that is just like because like I know we've talked about it before, just how like
stamp her out. Yeah, like
just
stamp her out. Make her out. Make her yield. Fail, and everything will not be the same.
Yeah,
Then nothing will be the same.
Yeah,
Grime is kind of the anti-Sprig here. Like Sprig's like, straight to your heart, and you got to stand up to her. And just as Sasha's like seemingly kind of absorbing what Anne is saying, and maybe even batting herself, or at least in shock, Grime is immediately there to say, "No, take control of this. You're Sasha. You're not allowed to listen to other people. You got to be the strong one and stamp her out."
Yeah, that's just one of the things I really like about this episode. Just like the foils here, you know what I mean? The character, this just the straight up character foils we have here, like Anne versus Sasha, Sprig versus Grime, like just how you can see how like one creates like an actual mutual benefiting like relationship, and this other one is just like you see how they bring the worst out of each other, and especially what Grime does for Sasha in this episode. Like we really get to see how her life in Toad Tower just transformed her. Like, because she, I mean, it's never explicitly said, but like, come on, I mean, I'm not to bring politics in it, but like, he literally made a child soldier, like, out of Sasha, but like, it's just crazy though how she goes from like a queen bee in her school to this, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of the really fascinating parts about this episode.
Yeah.
Mutually destructive rather than mutually supportive of Anne and Sprig.
Yeah.
I love how to go on to Sasha for a second. I love how shocked she is. Like when Anne defends herself, she's like, "That's new. That's never happened before." Like she doesn't know what to do. Like she's a bit flustered. Every single other time, we always saw Sasha in control, or even when something bad happened, she still always kind of kept calm and kept to her act. But now, when it's here, when Anne like for once in her life, Anne actually steps up or stands up against Sasha. Sasha's just confused. She doesn't know what to do. And then it's Grime that comes in that kind of reinforces that fact, that toxic behavior of Sasha. And it kind of goes from there. So I always love that little aspect because it's kind of like what you see out of Sasha in season 2. Season 2, Sasha's a lot more like upset and like she gets like anger outbursts a bit more in there. And it's her losing control and she doesn't know what to do at that point. So I just love that scene. It's really good. So.
Yeah, especially because you can see how Sasha, her whole thing, even she has this manipulative front, but once that stops working, she really feels like she has nothing. She kind of has a bit of a crisis in Toadcatcher. You see her like spiraling and resorting to violence because she doesn't know what else she can do. And she has all this anger, but she can't be cold and quiet about it anymore. And like later she tries to take it back, but in the dinner you can see it falters very quickly as soon as Anne breaks it again.
Yeah, that's just great. Yeah, that's great analysis right there.
I feel like this episode kind of established that Sasha's kind of impulsive in her decision. I mean, we've known it for the longest time, but like, I feel like this is the start of the. I think this is the episode where where it all really started to show it some more.
Yeah, it's once Sasha doesn't have power or control over anything, she has no clue what to do. Like she's aimless. So
Right. And then I like how like once Sprig gave like Anne that push, she's like completely like confident in herself. So like even when like Hop Hop kind of just like is there to like try and I guess be a, like the voice, not voice of reason, just like try to like reach out to Anne. Like Anne's like completely like focused. I guess in terms of like just standing up to Sasha.
And see, like, there's that just the last part of that scene. You know what I mean? Where like Anne tells her, like, tells Spray, like, thanks for believing me. Like, see, like it's just that last touch is what I feel like really brings it. I mean, well, besides of course Spray saying like spraying against the world, like it's just like that last line Anne has in that scene. You know what I mean? Where she just thanks Sprig for like having trust in her, having faith in her, even so she was like, falling towards like her bad side here. Where she's like just willing to let people trample all over her because she's just afraid of them. And like it was just a really tender moment right there because Sprig, he does believe in the best. He does believe in the best of Anne. Like he believes that she's a hero, right? Like that's always been how he's viewed her. And like for Anne, like that's very, very sweet. Like that's just really sweet to her to have something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Sprig, in Sprig's eyes, she is a hero, a very ugly hero.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's always such a sweet part of their dynamic is the way that Sprig looks up to Anne as his big sister and also doesn't totally realize how much Anne loves and respects him back. But like he does in a way, but it's like a mutual sort of looking up to each other sort of thing where they just both love each other so much is so sweet. And in every episode it's been shown.
Yeah, and then so like Anne's completely like ready to like oppose Sasha. We get a bit of the fight, and yeah, like Impact mentioned earlier, like Anne, like Sasha like makes that comment about like, oh, Anne wasn't like you weren't like this like back home, and I guess like Sasha was a little bit more creative in this fight, and Anne was basically just more on the defensive.
Yeah, pretty much still just defending herself. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's just it's just because I know like who aborted the scene? Was it Inball? Like,
No, she didn't come on until season 2.
okay, because I just know like Matt, he's always like when he sort of talked about the fights between Anne and Sasha, he also mentioned how he just likes like the sort of storytelling that's told through the fight, and you can just see like, yeah, you can really tell what's going on here. Like this is Anne just trying to stand up for herself, and this is versus Sasha who's desperately trying to reestablish the status quo in any way she can, and like you can just really just see how they're doing it for this fight. You know what I mean? Like Anne's just trying to deflect. I mean, whatever Sasha's like aiming at her for, and like I don't know, like I guess Sasha's just trying to knock her down or something. But yeah, it's just really good.
Speaking of, no, go ahead.
Okay. I think one thing that so I talked about this a little bit in Combat Camp of how like the action has sort of evolved in Amphibia, and one of the things I mentioned was like a lot of the action in Amphibia is very character driven and less based upon like the setting, right? And Reunion's a really like cool example of that, where you see like because Sasha's the more clever, manipulative one, so she always has like a plan or a trick up her sleeve, right? Like she has that when she's like on the ropes against Anne when she loses the sword, she has the knife on her like ready to go. She uses the cape to draw on Anne. She's like always thinking, like she always has a plan. But what makes Sasha lose that fight is that she underestimates Anne. Like she always thinks like she's above her all the time. So like when Anne's on the floor and stuff, when she's on the ground, Sasha thinks she's won, like whatever. She's not going to do anything. That's kind of Sasha's hubris of not being able to understand how Anne has changed. And she's not like just this like pushover anymore. She underestimates her all the time. So every single time Anne wins, it's because Sasha's like thinking small of her. So I love that about this fight. I think that's really cool. So yeah.
Yeah, they're absolutely solid guy. Honestly, that's like that's a really good analysis of the whole fight, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's also kind of sad that she never really learned her lesson even after this fight.
Yeah, and
Third
Pickle,
time's a charm. Third time's a charm.
and I think Pickle,
Let's hope they don't have to fight again.
you wanted to bring up like I was thinking about the parallels between here and True Colors, like, but I'll let you take over that.
Also, question, because I know this is a little bit off topic, but like, is this the episode where there are the most writers for one? Like, there are 4 writers for this episode, which I think is the most for an episode in Amphibia. I could be wrong.
I
think
think
it
you're
was.
right.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
How many did True Colors have?
2.
Two.
Oh, 2. Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly 2. Like for Amphibia episodes, like there's mostly either 1 or 2 writers
for
for
the
it.
double.
They
Yeah.
really
For
wanted
the
to stick
for-
the landing here because this dictated, if they would be getting more seasons.
for the 22-minute episodes,
Yeah.
it's usually 2 writers, and then for the
2
single
writers,
segments, it's almost always
1.
1 writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Pickle, you wanted to bring up the parallels between like the True Colors fight and the reunion fight, right?
Yeah. So I mean, the most obvious thing here is really I think the something that a lot of people noticed, which is the versus in the fight in the first fight at reunion. Anne is trying to play more defensively while Sasha's fighting dirty and really trying to get at her. Well, in the later fight, I mean, it's even confirmed by Matt himself. Sasha's all trying to be like, "Hey, wait, we should talk about this." Well, Anne is just absolutely going for the vitals. Done with Sasha.
Oh, I thought you were talking
No more holding back. Even though Sasha really is holding back. I think another one is, I mean, even outside of just the Anne fights, Sasha always runs her mouth when she's fighting. I mean, you can see it's kind of part of her, how she thinks on her feet and is always trying to find a way to get an edge by manipulating people. But it often actually backfires on her. I mean, in reunion, even Anne herself is like, "Do you ever stop talking?" when she gets rid of the sword. And then in the True Colors one, it's her trying to talk Anne down instead of just fighting her and beating her, which honestly understandable in that position compared to some of the other things she was doing, but it also leads to her losing. And then even in Toadcatcher, when she fights Yunnan, she has the upper hand, and then she pauses and like teases Yunnan. She says, "Are you struggling?" and kind of laughs at her, and then immediately Yunnan overpowers her. But then talking wins that fight anyway because she manages to get at Yunnan's ego. But I think it's very interesting to see how her sort of personality really plays into her fighting style with her kind of tricks and her scheming while she's fighting.
Do you think Sasha would win a very important fight if she stops talking and focus on the fighting itself, or can she use that manipulation in her advantage for good? In a
I think
later
there are
fight.
times she really needed to stop talking, but it definitely works out for her sometimes.
Mm.
And especially with the using the cape to blind the other. Like Sasha does it here,
Oh.
and then Anne does it in True Colors.
Yeah, and definitely picked up some tricks up Sasha's sleeve.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just so great, and then like, honestly, I mean, you guys basically said everything I wanted to say about like the whole parallels we have between us. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, even so, we only have like two of these two like fight, 2 scenes of these 2 fighting, but like these still make for like some of Amphibia's best scenes. It's just the fact they decided they wanted to create parallels between them just amplifies it even more, in my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
For sure.
And also, this episode got away with like giving Sasha a scar by Anne.
Oh yeah,
It's a small
I believe
scar.
Yeah, I believe the storyboard had her bleeding, but then they changed it just to be a red line in the final. I don't know how
Dang
much
it.
of that was choice and versus compared to SMP though.
It's definitely SMP.
Just merely a
But
scratch.
yeah, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, it's just great what the scar probably resembles, right? And I feel like that's probably never going to go away. And I feel like, yeah, honestly, I mean, maybe they'll have it fade a little bit in the future, but I feel like at this point, I mean, we can tell the scar resembles, right? Just like a permanent reminder to Sasha just how she's sort of failed Anne as a friend, you know what I mean? Sort of like forced into a horrible situation where she had to defend not only herself, but also just like her friends and family, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and like right when Sasha, not Sasha, sorry, Anne like finally wins the fight, and then Grime refuses to like hold up his end of the bargain. Wally's
That
gambit.
cheater. Wally.
Wally comes in. Not Wally himself, but like his plan comes to fruition.
But
And
you have to question like how many boom shrooms is that guy packing? I mean, like
enough
he-
to like take down like a stronghold.
yeah, that was crazy, man. Like see, that's why Wally's good for rebellion, but
Wally
Going
is a closeted terrorist.
Real question is, why do you bring all those to a
Okay.
party?
yeah, no, and how long was he carrying all those boom shrooms for? Like, did he have it at Anne? Yeah, did he have it at Anne's party?
Yeah, he
too?
probably
Like,
had it then.
He
Yeah,
probably had
he
it.
did.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
right after it, so
yeah.
Damn, Wally.
He was gonna bomb the party, so make sure it would be the bomb.
Yeah. Fucking Wally,
he does
man.
this. He does this on like a normal basis, just bombing parties, just because.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Fucking Wally. Well, it's just great, man. Yeah. Did Wally and Anne get that little scene where she's like, Wally, what did you do? And he's like, what? Can you not tell I was winking? Or,
Yeah, they get
One
that
eye.
later.
That's the one eye.
One eye, yeah.
Oh, that was great. Man, I freaking love Wally.
Yeah, like Wally's the source of all this trauma.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Wally is the source of the trauma, and you guys say that Wally is actually Ed's best friend, Wartwood, Amphibia.
Expected her to be mad at Wally after reunion.
Aren't
Again.
you the frog who blew up my tower and almost killed me?
You can't hold against Wally. You can't be mad at that face.
Honestly, yeah, you can never be mad at Wally.
Yeah, I can.
They should have like brought it up in Anne and Wally, like had there be an actual like Anne resentment towards Wally that sort of gets resolved as she gets to know him and Anne and Wally.
Yeah, and then
To be
That
fair,
episode was already packed with so much though.
Yeah.
To be fair, like Wally is sort of the reason why Hot Pop doesn't get killed in that episode because grabs him, and then So yeah, you could sort of thank Wally for saving them at the end. Technically,
Wally's true neutral, man. Like Wally, Wally just does what Wally does. He's true neutral.
He's the Jack Sparrow of Amphibia.
yeah,
Or was it chaotic neutral? Wait, no. Yeah, sure. Never mind.
Wally's more chaotic neutral, but at least
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So like the tower comes crashing down, and then "Lean on Me" starts playing, and
Okay.
what did I think Matt mentioned in an interview? Like they got it because they had a lot left over in the budget, so they're able to get this in.
He said it caught. Like he said, like guess. He said like guess the price per head, and then like I don't even know. And then he said like multiply that by 10. Like that. I don't even want to know how much is having a minute in the show costed. Like it's been insane.
I don't know. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I kind of wish they had TJ Hill compose a thing for it instead of using "Lean on Me," because I mean, it made for a great moment, but everyone already knows "Lean on Me." It's not like you're gonna start. For most cases, you're not gonna start associating it with this scene. Like if they had made their own thing, then they could have really sort of done what they did in True Colors, where they had the big song that everyone's gonna hear and be like, "Oh, this is the True Colors song." They could have had the reunion song, you know?
Oh
What
yeah,
about you?
honestly,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with you there because like I guess I like having licensed music in my shows, but I feel like with Leon, yeah, I'm not as in love with it as like a lot of people in the fandom are. Like I like this song, I like how they use it in the scene, but like yeah, I wouldn't have mind like having some more original music for just more original music used here in True Colors, or not True Colors, I was gonna say True Colors, but in Reunion.
Yeah, I
If
think
you do
And, like,
original
that.
music, I think you'd
Mhm.
have to do it in a different way. Because Lean on Me preempts the actual event. It's setting you up, it's priming the audience for something emotional to happen. And then we get the whole fall and everything like that. If you use original music there, that yeah, there are things you can do, but it's less. You don't get as much of a priming unless you do some very specific, like musical stuff. It'd be interesting to see how it'd be different, but it'd be remarkably different. You couldn't just make something up and have it slide in the exact same.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I kind of agree with Sunsfury here because like yeah, they could do original music, but I feel like Lean on Me. I guess the presence of a licensed music and like a song like Lean on Me makes the scene more legit.
it stands out more.
Yeah, it stands out a lot more. I I feel like there's no other song that could capture the moment or the emotion of that moment better than that.
But I think
I think like
I don't know because like
I was
go ahead, go.
Impact
I'll let
start.
you go.
Go ahead, Impact.
Go ahead, Impact.
oh, I think like the difference between like the True Colors I think theme and like Lean on Me, I think it's just like the sense of tone to it. With True Colors, it's just very like epic, like oh my god, so much stuff is happening. Every single time you hear it, they kind of bring it back in Turning Point too. As soon as you hear the song, you know exactly where you're at that point. But I think Lean on Me works well just because like it's like a juxtaposition to what's happening. Like in the scene itself, there's like the towers crumbling and whatnot, and it feels like there should be like a big like action beat there or something that's super like chaotic and crazy, but it's very like calm and almost a little sad to it. I think Leon on Me just works really well for that scene, just with the tone it's going for, and it just feels very like I'll always remember Lean on Me to being on this scene specifically. It's a famous song, yes, but I think like I will always connect it to this scene in Amphibia. So I think it still works extremely well for it. So yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna like bring up. Uh, I think like a minor problem I had with season one is that like there wasn't like the music in season one's fine, but it doesn't really you don't really get a lot of enough moments where it's just the music like leading the scene. It's usually like the sound effects or the dialogue. So like I guess Reunion was like one of the few moments where that wasn't really the case. So it would have been nice to get like some original music, but then I think like as we like once we got season two, like I didn't really think about it as much.
Yeah, because season 2 was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like the music, man.
Yeah, they
Like
up the ante.
because here's my thing. Lean on Me definitely works for the scene. Just the idea of it, like, just the idea of you singing to your friend that you will always be there for them, even for their toughest times. Like, it definitely does. Like, it's like it tries to call on like a better version of Sasha and Anne's friendship as it's falling apart as this tower falls apart. But like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm a TJ Hill son. You know what I mean? Like, Anne's transformations music. I'm sorry, I still have not seen anything that's topped that for me. The
TJ
music
Hill
alone,
and
that scene is just too fucking good. Like, and then the credits to True Colors. Like, I'm sorry, like Lean on Me is a good song, but like when Amphibia lets TJ Hill run wild, that man just he was made for this show. Like he knows absolutely the kind of music Amphibia needs. So like Yeah, it's my very elaborate way to say, like, yeah, just let TJ Hill handle every emotional scene in Amphibia.
Just add Rebecca Sugar in the freaking cast or music team.
They gotten Rebecca Sugar for um
I know, I
Reunion.
know. Yeah, I know they got
Some.
her for Froggy Little Christmas, but I want her to be in the finale. I want her to make one last song.
Yeah, we need her. But it's true that Lean on Me
Yeah.
it did work well for that scene because you had you have the whole players grabbing and pulling it up and being the shoulder to lean on, especially later in the scene. And then you also have like the kind of cool twist of irony of how Sasha was never able to be that, even though she may or may not have thought she was, or how Anne is being that for her right now, and then Sasha rejects her basically.
Mm.
Just think it really ties in, and it kind of works out.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, even for Sasha, like Grime ends up being like the one, like Sasha ends up like leaning on Grime by the end.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not actually about Sasha and Anne's friendship. It's about Ryan and Sasha's friendship.
That's just
Grime
a
and
really
Sasha
great
were the
moment, though.
characters all along.
Yeah.
Like just when you don't know like how that scene's gonna end, and Grime leaps in to save her, like that is just a really, really, really powerful moment. And like then we have the shot of him like, yeah, it was just it really gave Amphibia such like I don't know like a not prestigious, but just such a like an amazing feeling to it. Just I know it's a miserable scene for him, but just like having Grime stare down at her, just scowl at her while he's like carrying Sasha and then disappearing into the woods, like that was just really powerful right there. You know what I mean? Like it really made you want to see what would happen next to these two, like oof, their friendship right there. I mean, Christ, it's really great.
Yeah, I gotta say, like I liked season 2, early season 2, but it was just a little bit like, okay, when's Sasha episode? When are we gonna get the result?
Oh my
When are we gonna
god!
see?
Hey, there was a little bit of that. There was a little bit of that.
Oh my
Don't
god!
tell me, Mom.
Typical Amphibia fans be like,
Yeah.
"Where's Sasha? Where am she?"
I mean, no, it's understandable.
Calm down. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, honestly, I'm more for the Grime time. I'm for the Grime time. You know?
The real question is,
Grime
where's
time.
Grime? Where's Grime time?
And then, yeah, like the planners all like try to like hold her up. We get that like iconic shot with the of like in the shadow in the moon. That was all like.
And or like, yeah, and are we gonna?
Yeah, the red moon. Like that is such a great shot. Her just falling down. It sounds ruthless for me to say, but I'm sorry, Sasha, but that made for a great shot. Like her falling off the tower, like the red moon in the background, like just damn, like that was good. That was good.
I've redrawn
Good job,
it at least
Sasha.
twice.
Yeah, good job, Sasha. Your falling is great. Like it made for a great angle. Now, can you do that again one more time?
Should we talk
That
about the
scene was
line?
so
Like,
aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
should we talk about the line? Like, like
You're better off without me, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, I mean, I've always seen that as sort of like a mix between like last minute spite from Sasha, but also just like her just truly feeling sad about this whole situation. You know what I mean? Because I mean, as much as a bitch each of these girls can be, like they always do mean well for their friends. You know what I mean? And part of the growth here is just learning how to do better at that. But here, like, yeah, she maybe she doesn't truly understand how she failed Anne at this point, but she did know that she fucked up somehow, and like having that realization washed over her, yeah, that definitely did hurt her.
I do really like the Sasha being completely honest there take, rather than the she's just trying to mess with Anne, because it's just this moment of, like, there is some good in her, but it's desperately trying to make a change against the fairly dodgy side of Sasha.
Yeah.
We also got that brief moment of like Toadstool like pulling a bunch of townsfolk out.
Yeah, Toadstool redemption.
Well, not really redemption, because he's only saving the townsfolk because so he could tax them.
I mean, he didn't have to carry them all the way. No, yeah, he did carry, but he carried them all the way to Wartwood. I mean, he didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he's just saying that, but he does maybe a little bit care about them, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I know that he actually cares about it, especially now we know with Total Redemption, but
Yeah.
at the time.
I believe you guys are acting with a capitalist.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Oh
won
my
me over.
God.
Toadstool won me over. He won me over. Too good.
Capitalism always wins, Pickle. That you have to remember that.
But it's true. Toadstool, set up to be someone you're gonna hate. He's like the greedy guy who's always gonna be
Yeah.
stealing money. And then like they did well with making him more of like a turnaround. Not really a redemption arc. It's more like he got tamed by the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he went from like constantly scheming something like whether or not like it was like to get money or gain political favor to like basically having those fail and just really reaching a neutral point in the town. You know what I mean? Then like we have moments like this in Reunion end of the year where he actually does help out the town and like I mean he still does have a scheme here and there, but it's never really awful for the town itself. And then we would finally have him have a turning point where he just truly loves being here, and it's just kind of nice. Like it's nothing amazing, but it's just kind of well done, and it has a lot of good payoff. I mean, it leads to one of Amphibia's best episodes, I'd say.
For such a side character.
Not bad. Yeah, not bad for a side character.
Yeah, not bad for a side character.
Yeah. Oh, the Plantars too. They're pretty good as side characters.
Okay, let's.
Wow.
So
The moment of
Get him
silence.
out of here.
We
Get him out of here.
we get to we get to that point where like the side characters, they come into like once Grime and the Toad Army leaves, we're basically left with Anne and the Plantars on top, and usually they have the like just in cartoons in general when you have like the comedic tiers, and then you have like the realistic, more like serious tiers, and like that's the case. That's the case here with Anne, especially like she finally breaks down.
Yeah.
And
All
like
that stress and pressure right there.
yeah, and like really like the players can't like there's not really much the players can do other than just like be present.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really like bittersweet moment to end.
Can we talk
on.
about Brenda Song's voice acting too?
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really
Actually,
great in this scene.
I think I don't know why, but she really just whenever there's a scene where Anna's crying, she sounds so realistic. I don't know how she just makes the crying sound so emotional. Like the breath hitches as she cries. It's too real. It got me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always the part of the scene that gets me. I mean, it's not even like it's not even just Sasha's sacrifice. You know what I mean? It's just when Anne just can't hold it together anymore. Like she just went through like a lot and just starts to break down. She just does not have the strength to hold it.
I guess it's just the experience of Brenda's Song as an actress. Even though like isn't Anne Boonchoy her first voice acting role in her like 20+ year career?
I think so. Yeah, I think she.
Yeah,
was,
I think it is.
Yeah, I think, and it's impressive in my like. Okay, like yeah, she's an actress, but like she's live action. She's not used to voice acting. But I guess that 20+ years of experience pay off in this role as Anne.
Yeah, it's just always funny to think about how like I don't know. It's just weird to think about how like I was watching like the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and like I turn around and like, whoa, okay, like now she's voicing one of my favorite main characters ever. Like I never expected that, but yeah, she's done a great job in each season, and the best part of it is just seeing how she just like I feel like she's definitely changed Anne's voice by season 3, but part of that's just because she's become like a really, 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 really great voice actor by that point. Like it's just great.
Yeah. Oh gosh, damn! Like I can't. Man, I can't really think of anyone else who could voice Anne Boonchoy as Brenda Song. Like,
Yeah.
I guess that, I mean, to be fair, I get that could come down from the fact there's limited choices to like IVAs, but like what they got is so much. It's so good. Like I don't think they would need anyone.
Yeah, this is on
And
point. It's just on point in my opinion. Like I literally cannot imagine anyone else. Like, no one comes to mind.
yeah, and it's weird to think too that originally like Anna Akana and like Haley Chu were originally supposed to be were like
And yeah, with
possible
Anne.
voices for Anne.
Yeah.
That's so like weird to think like Marcy's
Ugh.
voice with Anne. Yeah, like
Or Sasha's voice with Anne coming out.
yeah.
I can't. I can't. Like
I
as much as I love Anna Kenna, performer, I can't imagine her being a humble 13-year-old.
Yeah, like it. Sometimes I wish they would do like a panel or something where like Anna Arcana would read like a Anne line or something or Haley Chu. That's such a weird timeline that could have happened. So just interesting.
Yeah. Like I can only imagine Anna as a bratty bitch or a
That's so
very
mean.
or a very stressed 20 something year old.
Yeah, I mean, I get she's good at her roles. I think she
Yeah.
could have made Anne work. I think she could have. I mean, like Brenda Song just fits with Anne, and Anna kind of just fits with Sasha. But I
Yeah.
think they could have
Yeah.
done each other's
Yeah.
roles well
Yeah,
anyway.
I do think Anna kind of could have worked as Anne if she tries. Like she's a great voice actress. She can do something.
And
I think it would have changed her character though. I think she would have been more like sort of like the spunky, the edge on her, where she's sort of more stubborn and a little bit, self-obsessed as all teenagers are.
They
I think that
lean
would have
into
come out more.
Yeah, they lean in more with Anne's brat side, like in early season one, a lot more.
right, yeah, like I think by actually I wouldn't say there's like a definitive end to when Anne becomes like less bratty, which is good.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. It's see.
yeah,
I
But
mean,
that's what
like
I do.
like
That's
yeah,
one of the things I
she.
really like
Mhm.
about the show. There's never like I like them. I know you're gonna tell me if I say like there's not a definitive moment where you can really say Anne becomes a planter. I know you're gonna be like, I know you're gonna be like,
No,
Anne
no,
is
no, no,
not.
no.
Like,
We do.
but like
There is.
what I do like is it's like a gradual sliding. Like there's not a specific point, right, where like the show tells you, yeah, she's a planter now. But like at some point you just feel it, man. Like I don't it doesn't even matter when. Like you just feel it at some point, and like it doesn't matter whether or not you remember a specific episode. Like that gave you that biggest feeling. It just comes naturally, and I feel like yeah, that sort of is the same thing with Bradiness, right? Like it's just something that it's not like a huge part of her character, I'd say, but it's like something that she just becomes a lot more mellowed out and like down to earth. You know what I mean? Like she just becomes like less I don't know, like less bratty, I guess.
Yeah, like we saw that. Yeah, we saw that in season 3A, where we compared to what she was like 6 years ago. It's a lot. She's um, a lot more proactive when it comes to doing good things to the community and stuff, and not just worry about usual teenage shenanigans like fashion or crushes or
yeah,
expensive stuff.
yeah, like Anne's like motivation by like 3A is like always good. She rarely has like okay, maybe Sprig's birthday you could argue, but even then I wouldn't say so. Like
Hmm.
Anne's motivation is always in a good place. Like no matter what, her selfishness is kind of gone a little bit, and the only time like Anne still has problems as a character, but like yeah, her motivation's always good. Just sometimes the actions she does because of that motivation is always kind of her flaw. At least in
Yeah.
season 3. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. And to be fair, like it couldn't be helped after everything that happened. But
Yeah.
So I guess we can go into like. So after the events of Toad Tower, we get back to Wartwood. Everyone arrives back exhausted because like it's 2 parties in one night, as Wally said. Uh, and we're kind of left with Anne and the Plantars just kind of wondering what to do next. And here we get Anne like telling like I think this is the first time Anne says out loud that like she considers the Plantars family. I thought that was a really nice way. Just the way the season ends off with like them staring off on into the distance and like the end of part one, it really gets like sets the
Yeah.
it feels like a bow on top of like a gift. Just like season one is just like a very it's not too self-contained, but it's like Matt mentioned in his in interviews, like that reunion was really like the like season one was a very like self-contained story. Like if it had it was structured as if this was the only season he'd get, and it really shines through.
It's a nice end to like bookend to part one, and yeah, it just lays out here's the world, look at how far we've come, and let's get ready for some more adventure, which is exactly the right thing to eventually lead into the expanding adventures of season two, especially 2A, when the world just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's nice to have that moment of reflection before any of that actually starts, right at the end of season one.
And also like
Yeah.
I like how at the time when Reunion came out, the speculation was really wild because we honestly didn't really know the direction the show would go in. It didn't end off on a cliffhanger. It didn't really throw in like a new villain at the very end. It was very much, and it didn't really like tease like Marcy or something. It was mostly Anne and the Planners. And that's pretty much what the show has always been about, like stripping
Yeah.
away all the like intergalactic like invasion and like the toxic friendships. It's really a lot just about Anne just going to a new place and how that like how that changes her as a person. Then later on, that same like philosophy or just I guess that same template is like added onto the Planners and really makes Amphibia come full circle.
Yeah. Like, no matter how many times the people who view this show say otherwise, you know, the actual focus of the show is something else. No, what this goal of this entire show is like what you said about Anne Boonchoy and her journey with the and her journey across the world with their Plantar family. That's always been about. And like I really love what you and Sunsfury said about how how the calm nature of of this ending really really wraps up everything that happened in season one to get us ready to the real adventure, which is season two and beyond.
Hell yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, for me, it's just seeing like just those words like end of part one like that, like because I feel like a big part of like going through season one was just like getting surprised by how ambitious it could be. Because like when you first, I mean, like personally for me, when I first started, I thought it was just like just a funny frog show, but like it kept on surprising me like here and there, and just ending the whole season off after like all this crazy stuff that just happened with end of part one, like that gave it an absolutely grand feeling. Like, and yeah, I was super excited to see where we go next after that. And yeah, definitely got me pumped up. But like, yeah, also just just that nice little moment of Anne like Hop-Up was like warning about it, like warning her of the dangers of going outside the valley, of exploring Amphibia further. But like to her, it didn't matter, because like she just saw the planters right there, and that's when she knew she was home. That's when she knew she was going to be all right. If that's so. Yeah, it's a really nice way to kick off. Well, not to kick off, but to end off season 1.
And we know how like we know, especially for the first season, like for any kind of show, like you're still figuring stuff out, but the part 1 really makes it feel less like it's like a Anne and Wartwood is very much like a training ground or like a tutorial level for Anne. But the part 1 at least makes it feel like season 1 wasn't just like some kind of see what works, what doesn't, and then okay, now season 2 is where the real story starts. It's very much like season 1 is a part of the story that the show's trying to tell.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Amphibia got its themes worked out by that point. You know what I mean? Like Matt, like no, because I mean that's why Matt is able to like rattle on and about like the thematics of the show, like it's thematic through lines. Like because he knows exactly what kind of energy you want to put into this show. And like you already described some, like just the idea of going to this new, bizarre, unknown place and just being transformed by it. You know what I mean? And just getting used to that place and learning to love it. Like that's sort of the spirit that he's carried throughout this entire series. And like that's what we saw here by the end of season 1. Like, I mean, we've talked about it a bunch of times, right? Just how there was definitely a direction of season 1. Like it may seem aimless, but when you actually like review it, when you actually think about it, you can see like their sense of direction here. You can see like how you can see how you can break off season 1 into different parts. Like there's definitely something going on here.
Yeah.
There's also about that end of part 1 thing. I've always been thinking, end of part 1, end of part 2. When I see end of part 3, it's gonna be so sad. But I wonder if they'll just do end. Because I mean, it's not
Ooh.
the end of a part. It's the
The end. Or it's the end. Or
I'm gonna start crying.
Yeah, that
Oh,
would
they
hurt.
absolutely will.
Oh, we will.
They'll pull a Phineas and Ferb and have like Anne face the camera and like wave goodbye, closing the door on her house or something.
Nah, that's gonna be Spring.
I
We don't
still
even
want an epilogue.
Yeah, the epilogue. We don't see the girls in the epilogue, just Spring.
The
Gosh.
entire
But he's
last
the
episode
old
is
man
just-
now.
The entire last episode is just Spring staring at the camera and like eating beetles or something.
Like he
Yeah.
has a bowl of Beatles. He's eating with a spoon. Like
It's Spring retelling the story of Amphibia to his children.
And he's the old man now.
Yeah, he's the old man. He actually has a storybook that contains everything that happened. That's why we
Okay,
have
hold
the
on.
Main
storybook.
character.
He's just
okay, but hold on.
And then a portal opens
Let's
and
get
Anne
back to the main
appears.
topic.
So,
Get back to the main
I
topic.
guess
going back.
what Pickle
Like, Tom,
just
go ahead.
going off what Pickle mentioned about like whether or not we're getting end of part 3 or just the end. Like, I know like I'm sure like any creator's gonna say like, oh, like these characters are gonna like keep going on their own adventure, but a lot of the show is revolves around Anne and the Plantars being together. That's like Amphibia. So we have Anne saying like, if we're together we'll be all right, but then we know like
They're not
they-
gonna be
yeah
together forever.
Eventually, they're gonna have to like
Yeah, they're
separate
gonna-
or something.
once they go back to their dimensions and their lives, like that's pretty much like you get that's no longer really like anything without that isn't really Amphibia.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah.
and I just think it's interesting.
Watch them pull a Star versus an Amphibia is
No,
hard.
Ben,
San
not now,
Francisco.
please, not now.
I
No.
But
I don't wanna cast this.
It's okay.
I guess okay, going back to my point, like you have Anne.
Or Amphibia is like actually on Earth and it's just like a random island in the ocean that
Oh my
the
God.
world's governments haven't discovered somehow.
But okay, I guess going back on topic. Shit, what was my?
It was. Oh, you were saying that Amphibia
about-
would be
wait,
Amphibia.
Yeah,
about, like,
Amphibia-
Anne and the
So
Plantars.
it's just weird how like the show Anne and the planners like came together from external forces like Marcy, Destiny, whatever, and then like those external events like formed like the ground or the foundation of the show, and then by the end of the series we might get to a point where like those same external forces like end up taking that away from us, and I think that's like the real like bittersweet
heartbreaking.
tragedy of like Amphibia's story.
True.
Damn, but yeah, I just going back to how like the plants are like the heart and soul of Amphibia. I mean, because, yeah, that's sort of how I always view the series myself. You know what I mean? Because it's never just been about like how Anne is going to react to all these new things. Like this is the core group of the show, and like yeah, it's just nice and sweet to see them at this point right here. You know what I mean? Like this, just knowing that they're like a tight, loving family. That's just really nice.
Yeah, and then we have like the special credits. Like this is the first time we get those
Storybooks.
Ooh, yeah.
yeah, the storybook feel of like Anne throughout the season. Like we had like the first like encounter between Anne and Sprig, and then Toad Tax versus Bog. And then we just get like a new shot of like just the planners like looking out into the I think
Yeah.
like shooting stars. Yeah, I just really like that like the storybook background that they have, the outline.
Really sweet.
Yeah, it definitely gives it that like the cartoon show feel. It's like, yes, this is the wholesome story I'm watching.
Okay. I do want to say one more thing that could be interesting to discuss because, like, we talked about this episode for like a good few hours now, and like we discussed a lot of the stuff, and like we know this is a big episode, so it's crazy to me that this episode feels so minuscule compared to what we've seen in the future of the show. like like again, like we get it, like this is the end of like, you know, the adventure before the actual real adventure, but considering what we know now, everything that happened in this episode feels so small scale compared to eldritch abominations, possessions, political struggles. Like, oh god, it's ridiculous.
I mean, this is a good time to go into to start wrapping up. Now that I like look at the time, we're in about almost 3 hours in. But I guess Lemur, any other final any final thoughts you want to give?
Well, I guess I just wanted to compliment the structure they have of season one because like going back to how you said like in season one, it is. I mean, Amphibia is a very plain shell, and season one wasn't them just like throwing darts on a wall trying to see what would stick. Like no, there's actually like an elaborate idea going. You know, we have like, I mean, we can. I mean, I've never thought about how many. I've never thought about like the number of ways we could divide season one into parts, but we can definitely just see like it's Anne arriving. It's Anne. Like first it's Anne bonding with Sprig, and then getting to know Polly, and then Hop Pop. Then we have the whole family adventures, right? We slowly have Anne getting warmed up into loving them, and then we have her standing up for the town. And then we have like a Wartwood adventures. You know what I mean? Like there's this progression of the series, and they slowly open up to like more things they want to explore for season one. So that's something. That's like one of the main things I really did enjoy looking back at season one. Just actually getting hyped at the idea of like getting an episode of Wally or something, or of Croaker, or just the town, or the town as a whole.
All right, thank you, Nick. Sunsfury, any final thoughts?
I like season one. Season one's a comfy season. It's just got that core vibe of Amphibia, like that gets built on, but right at the center of it all, it's our comfy little frog show. and everything goes on, and it's great. It's a good, solid time.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sunsfury. Ben, any final thoughts?
No, I agree with Sunsfury. It's a good, nice little comfy season. It builds up some plot for season 2, but it's not filler. But it has plot. It's nice. It advances characters, and like it introduces us to the world that we stay for a couple months, and then season 2 kind of expands upon that. So it's a good introduction to the world of Amphibia. I mean that's what a first season of a show does. It introduces you to the world, and I think it does that pretty well.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Pickle, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff people have already said. Honestly, I love the way they used the first season to set the status quo. Is usually what happens. You set the status quo in the first season, and then you change it. But they really did a good job of setting it up so that you grow to love this town, and then using that love for the town later on when it's like, you're off in Utopia, or you're all the way on Earth, and you're missing the towny thing, even in a little bit too well sometimes in season 3. And it really just like sets the idea of, because the whole show is all about Anne has to get home, but throughout it, Wartwood becomes home, and then there's that whole dynamic.
All right. Thank you, Pickle. Lemur, did you want to? I know you gave most of your thoughts. Like, was there anything else you wanted to add?
Oh yeah, I do have one more thing to discuss. Just it's interesting how, despite feeling like one big narrative, all of the seasons of Amphibia have their own distinct feels, and sometimes it can be like a great thing for a show, but at the same time, it could also be like a disadvantage because it could feel like, you know, even though it is like one story, you could feel like it changes a lot, and sometimes it could feel jarring and you feel like it lost its way. But I love Amphibia as one giant story, and this season 1 as one part of the story is really really good at doing what it set out to do. Like, it sets up all of the characters that we need to know and how they grow, and it sets up, the big major story point of the show, which is Anne Boonshoy and how she grows into becoming a better person in a world that is not of her own. And seeing that story unfold in one giant, like, one narrative, you can definitely see how clear it is. And to me, that's what season 1 is really good at, and why it really shouldn't be overlooked, because it's a very essential part to its story, because it builds up Anne to becoming the person she could be, so she could take on the adventures of season 2. And as for the unit itself, like I said, I agree with what Nick said, his sentiment about Reunion being one of the best season finales that I've ever seen. It's concise, it's to the point, it's wrapped up all of the storylines from season 1. Also props up some major plot points for season 2, while also not really addressing all of them. Again, that's pretty impressive. And what else? Yeah, even though it's, again, like I said, small compared to the rest of the show, Reunion is a very vital episode, and yeah, I got nothing else to say. Reunion and season But Reunion and season 1 are great, fantastic even, and yeah, that's Amphibia is really good when it comes to their storytelling. I wish people could see that more often.
All right, thank you, Lemur. Impact. What are your final thoughts?
For me, season 1 is I think season 2 was really what got me in the show. Reunion was great. I think Reunion and then the rest of season 2 is really what made me like love Amphibia. Season 1 I think kind of works better for me on rewatch when you kind of already know the whole story. You kind of know what they're going for a lot more. When you're sort of like rewatching these smaller scale, simpler episodes, it's way more fun now because I'm not thinking about um I guess like where the story's gonna go in that front. I'm focusing more on the characters, how Anne is changing as a person. And I think it's just really fun to look back at like smaller scale season 1 episodes where like Anne's biggest problem is like, oh my god, she has to like make a pizza. And then season 3, it's like you go to like Fight at the Museum or yeah, like Fight at the Museum where she's like stressing about getting back to Amphibia, or the next episode is like a giant robot chases after her. It's really fun seeing that like change in stakes. And like for Reunion as well, I think what makes Reunion so good is like it has very like it's small scale, but it's very personal. With True Colors, you have like a billion different plot points happening all at once in like the last 12 minutes, and like there's all kinds of crazy stuff. But like with Reunion, it's very self-contained, and it's very like it's paced very well, and it's like it's small scale, but it's since it's so personal, it feels a lot bigger. So yeah, that's my take on Reunion and season 1 as a whole. So yeah.
All right, thank you, Impact. And yeah, like overall, like for myself, I just really liked. Yeah, I think Nick brought it up earlier, like the progression of season 1, where a certain chunk of it was like Anne getting acquainted to the planners. It was really they didn't really go out like in from like the first 5 episodes. It wasn't like Anne traveling too far, or maybe like from some small quests. But aside from that, the show was really just Anne and the planners for a bit. And then once they finally got comfortable, they Anne like expanded her circle and then had interactions with the rest of the town a bit more often, and then it all slowly like converged onto
Awesome.
Reunion. And yeah, I
Well,
just
yeah,
I really liked that. And yeah, I think it just led to a finale that was probably the most satisfying season finale I've seen from Disney in a long time. Like I think the most I've seen. I remember like
yeah.
I remember the night that I was watching Reunion. I remember telling like the group chat like I like this more than Gravity Falls now. Like and but I guess I shouldn't go too deep into that now. That's a discussion for
No,
another time.
you will one day.
One
You
one
will one
one
day.
day. But I guess like
One day.
that pretty much
I do agree. I do agree with what you said about how this episode is so satisfying. I think that's why, like, I think that's why people say that this is one of the greatest season finales ever, just of how satisfying and how well thought everything is.
right. And I think we can. It's a good time to. That pretty much concludes this week's recording. Thanks everyone for coming on tonight or today, and that pretty much concludes our coverage of season 1.
Woo!
Yeah.
Finally, the boring
Finally
part is
over.
over. We can get to the real good stuff.
Fucking Handy Ann, dude. I'm
Three
so hyped
strikes
to
and
talk
you're
about
out,
Handy
Lemur.
Ann.
Yeah.
Hey, we gotta kick him out. Hey, Sean, you want to get in there?
Yeah, and
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I
Yep, now
just
that you've gone through all the boring stuff, you're permanently banned
I think
from the Boring
Okay.
Gazette.
we started back
Yeah,
in.
we're gonna replace. Oh god,
No.
Oh, like
we're
just
gonna replace Lemur of like fucking I don't know.
next time. Yeah, next time we're gonna just go right into season 2 and just see how far we can get before 3B comes back. And
Oh.
that's all I've got to say. And thanks for listening. And see you guys next time. Say goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, see you guys.
Bye.
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 Peace, everybody.
See ya.